What is going on with everybody? This is episode 73 of Stats Over Politics. Shaun Hoko is not here with us, so I will put on my cape as best as I can to be Shaun Hoko for the podcast. We have Garry back with us this weekend. We're joined by Jaevon and Garry as always, and we got another Eagle fan in here. You guys have been asking for us. Me and Kaz have been MIA, so now we're here to speak our minds. So Kaz, I'm gonna spin it to you first, man. How you doing today?
Doing pretty good, man. Just got back from the gym, got off work, been gone all day and recovering from the weekend and all the things that's happened this weekend. So, yeah, I guess I'm doing as good as an Eagles fan can be. It's simple as that. So,
all right, Garry, I'm gonna swing it to you next. How you doing today, man?
We're good. We're chilling. Monday, start of the week. Let's get to it. I'm excited to be back on the pod today. Been a couple episodes. Been busy with work, but let's get it. Come on, guys. Let's chop it up. It's playoff season too, baby. Come on now.
You were chuckling while Kaz was doing his intro, man. So I'm sure you got something to say. So how are you doing today, Mr. Jaevon?
This is the look of a defeated man. We took Washington money line. Called it last week. I was hot, fresh. It was emotional. It was fresh off it was New Year's Day, fresh off of the victory against Texas. There's no way that they're gonna lose to Michigan. And I jumped the gun a little bit. I actually had a good weekend. Like we won some money this weekend. You know, we always, I refrain to the group chat a lot. The group chat does not lie, and the screenshots lie in there. So they probably could count what was going on in there. But as far as just, for the hotline, I was trying to, make some things wiggle a little bit. We went 500, so we didn't lose any money. You pretty much started with whatever you started with, or you might have been a little bit profitable. But tough week, tough way to go back. But, trying to get it back in blood with Suns money line. So that's currently going on right now as we speak. But shout out to Sam Darnold for fumbling on the last drive. Had a chance to win the game at the end with old Sammy D at quarterback. But Rams.
You betting with the backups is so funny, Ron.
It was took a flyer on it. Thought it was a sure thing. Shout out to Michael Walker, man. First time in the playoffs. Shout out to the Steelers.
Oh yeah. Be in there, baby, be in the dance.
Don't know how healthy TJ Watt will be. But yeah.
Go ahead, Kev.
Other than tonight, it was Eagles fans are in shambles, so I guess that's a good thing. But I'm ready to get started. Let's do it.
All roads lead back to Philly, I guess. But I'm doing well, man. Can't complain. I had a Tyrese Halliburton parlay, so I was tuned in for the game, and unfortunately, my man went down.
You don't get voided?
It didn't matter, Toddy. Guess what else I had on the parlay? The Celtics money line. Hit everything else, so it didn't even matter. It would have been voided, and I would have won, but you guys just couldn't beat a Tyrese Halliburton-less Pacers team. So I'm doing kind of good, man. I can't complain. Last weekend was an interesting weekend for me, man. I've never yet in my 27 years of life just turned off an Eagles game, and just said enough was enough. I just had to put my mental health first, and enough was enough. And I was on Twitter, just ranting about my feelings. Next thing you know, my phone's vibrating, and Toddy's interacting with all my tweets, laughing at me. Meanwhile, his team is losing, doesn't even care. He just wants to kick a dog while he's down, man. So
he did the same thing to me, man. It's like I'm at work, I bartend on Sundays, and I'm like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like I already knew I was gonna get, some guff from some people, but Toddy never fails, man. He never fails. His little like.
So I'm not gonna lie.
And then
20 minutes before that, I sent that TikTok into the chat, in the group chat, because that shit had me rolling.
There's no way.
And literally 4 minutes later, he's over here getting you on Twitter. I was like, bruh, you are this day place.
He's in the shadows, man. He's just waiting and waiting.
Oh,
you ever see that meme that I think it's a Powerpuff Girls meme where it's like just a dark figure in the shadow with the top off, smoking a cigarette? That's Toddy. They're just waiting.
Ron gotta be careful. You gotta be careful now. They're gonna get you back. Don't get caught lacking.
Karma's a bitch.
We gonna wait. Hey, look, we gonna wait. We gonna see, because these playoffs, they're gonna be weird. I guarantee it.
So before we get into, let's get into a couple of these comments. We have Uncle Manny, always an active commenter in the comment section. Not much of a national championship. Cat Williams was off the hook. Have a great show. And then we have Go Pack Go. And Khalil, I hope you stay when we do our picks, man. I'm screaming, Go Pack Go. Cheeseheads, all that. Let's go. I'm with all the shit. Come on, Pops. That smell leaking. Boat is going Titanic. All right, well, let's move on from the NFL and let's talk about the national championship game that we just watched. So, Toddy, we all know that you had the Washington money line. So, what were your initial thoughts that Michigan beats Washington in the national championship 34-13?
I mean, kind of just the game itself. You're seeing early Michigan is doing whatever the fuck they want to do, running the ball, guys over the middle, running open. JJ McCarthy didn't really have to do much because you got Donovan Edwards running down the sideline. His first 2 touches were 40+ touchdown house calls. So Michigan had 200-yard rushers today. I mean, JJ McCarthy threw the ball, like 20 times? I mean, not as, much as he would. He really didn't have to do much. I mean, Michigan they dominated the line of scrimmage. They hurried Michael Penix a bunch of times. He got sacked only once, but that stat really shows like a third of the story. If you actually watch that pass rush, Michael Penix was under duress the entire night, forced a bunch of bad throws. McCarthy only threw the ball 18 times, so had 10 completions. Didn't really have to do much. But as far as going back to Michael Penix, last week we saw, the arrows being shot into the sky, Roma Dunze running wild. McMillan was running roughshod. Polk was doing whatever he wanted. He had 200-yard receivers last week. Penix this week, nobody reached over 100, but Dunze was the closest at 87 yards. So I got to give props to this Michigan defense. They got a bunch of NFL players on this roster. I'm hearing reports they're going to have at least 15 guys off of this roster get drafted.
Sheesh.
So this is probably the closest that Penix will get to an NFL defense, like look-wise, as far as players and basically what it will look like at the next level. And he didn't look too comfortable at all. I will say his offensive line was very pedestrian. Didn't play as well as they did last week, but Michigan just was too overpowered for anything Washington was trying to do. Hats off to the DBs at Michigan too, because I stated last week that that Washington has at least 3 NFL wide receivers. I know for sure Odunze is going to go top 10, top 15. He's really that guy, and to kind of make him look 5 for 87 is actually a solid stat line for a college receiver.
But they missed on some big ones, Vaughn.
But up to his standards, he's usually putting up 120. Yeah, because Michigan or Washington was either getting held, Penix missed a throw, offensive line forced a bad throw. There was a big throw that Penix had down the sideline late in the third quarter to Dunze that was nullified by a holding call that ended up offsetting, and that kind of was, I'd say, was the game, and then ended up throwing almost a near pick six that kind of like iced the game. But I mean, this was not the same Washington team that we saw all year, that we saw last week. Michigan was pretty consistent through the entire year, regardless of the Harbaugh suspensions, 6 games to be exact. The team stayed course and kind of just rolled over pretty much everybody that they played against for the most part. And for them to come into the national championship and kind of handle Washington pretty easily, this high-powered offense that myself and a lot of people around the country were kind of praising, it speaks volumes. So Michigan's, I think, believe this is their first title since 1997. So it's been a while since they were national titles. And now Harbaugh's probably going to ride off into the sunset and entertain all NFL coaching jobs.
Chargers.
It's going to be interesting to see where he goes, to see if he stays or not. But Gary, you mentioned they missed a lot of big plays, and I know one in particular you're talking about was when it looked like Penix just kind of overthrew him. The receiver kind of turned last minute. Did you think Washington lost this game, or Michigan kind of just outpowered Washington and everything that they do well?
You guys know me. I'm a novice with the college football game, but I watched this full game pretty much. It was a pretty good game in the majority of the game. The score wouldn't really tell you that. I feel like it was more nip and tuck. They obviously exploded right there in the fourth quarter with the back-to-back touchdown drives. But in my opinion, I think Vaughn put it correct. I think that Michigan just defense showed up. And I do feel like, though, a couple plays here and there when they did have their chance to strike when the iron was hot and show that they were a big team. And, they've been scoring all these points this whole year. I feel like they just kind of missed the mark here. I was liking Michael Penix Jr., but Vaughn put it correct. This wasn't his best day in terms of, well, he did throw 51 times, so it's like, sheesh. It was basically on him or nothing, so that's the situation. But that's what they've been doing all year in Washington, so that makes sense from their angle. I just feel like Michigan was the more obviously complete team, and Harbaugh proved it with his defense and his offense hitting when it needed him to hit. McCarthy, I think, had that key run that really extended their drive and ended up scoring on that drive. That was really good for him, even though he had a kind of like Vaughn said, pedestrian game, really didn't have to do much because they were killing it in the run game. So I just feel like really controlled the majority of the game. So I feel like Washington, you could say 1 or 2 big plays, it can make a whole big difference. I feel like that's always can be seen. But at the end of the day, I just feel like at some point, like Michigan showed at the end, they were going to tire them out and they were going to wear them out and they were just going to win this game at the end of the day because, like Vaughn mentioned, just got way more better talent on that side of the ball right now. But, shout out to them for getting this point, putting a last stamp for the West Coast, to make some noise here. So, yeah.
So, Kaz, I know you said you didn't really get a chance to watch the game. So, did you have any thoughts on the game?
Yeah, so when I got back from the gym, I think it was like 6-7 minutes left or whatever, and I was telling my roommates, or my roommate and my friend, they're behind me right now, they said, or I saw on Twitter, that's like, oh man, like I was seeing blowout, oh, it's a blowout. I'm like, that was earlier, obviously. Get home a couple hours later, and I'm like, whoa, I thought it was a blowout. And I was like, joking around and stuff. I'm like, man, you can't trust nobody on Twitter, bro. Because like, they made it seem like this game was over, it was done. And granted, they did end up pulling away in the end. I came home and it was within 7. So like, okay, so it must have been one of those games where they got up early, and then after they got up, apparently got stagnant, and then after that I caught the last 6 minutes, and from what I saw, it just looked like a typical, you're down, you need to do what you got to do to win this game, and Penix couldn't do it. I mean, that's kind of the toughest way to win a game, is when you're behind and you have to throw the ball 51 times. Even in the NFL, if you're throwing the ball 51 times, that's a problem. Like you don't want to gear for that, because that's all telling you. I mean, you don't have any run game clearly. And if you do, it's like, then you're just getting bested, offense to offense by the other team. So they were down from what I saw, and Michigan pulled away with that. What was like a pick, like 80 yards, something like that. It took it almost to the goal line, and then that was pretty much it. But it's just like any other football game, I think, was it Toddy that said it, or maybe it was Gary, but somebody said, you're just a couple big plays away from that being a good game, So when I got here, it was within 7, and then shortly after that, pulled away, and that was the ball game. So I'm kind of like Gary, though. I'm not a big college guy. I mean, I learn as I go. I don't pay attention to it year round. I just kind of catch a game here and there. But for the most part, it just seemed like Michigan was the more dominant team from what I was reading and what I could tell. And I do want to say right now, it's really cool because my cousin is actually was at that game tonight.
That's lit.
Her and her husband, they live in Tampa. They're from the Midwest, but they live in Tampa, and they are diehard Michigan fans. Last year,
they're lit.
Yeah, last year, when the Eagles played Detroit week 1, I actually ended up staying with them in their Airbnb in Detroit because that following weekend was the opening for college football, and they stayed and went to the Michigan game. So they're big time. They were posting about it all week. Yeah, they were big time. They were posting about it all week, and I was like, man, I really wish I was more into it. I would, see about going, but they enjoy their Michigan games, so I know they're partying up right now.
Yeah, man, Michigan. Oh, you got something? Go ahead.
Real quick, before you go, just a real quick outside perspective, real quick. Like I wanted to mention too, like Harbaugh. I'm glad he won because now we can see if the Ravens and the brothers can, both pull out championships in both their respected areas. That's a cool little storyline for me to see and see where he's going to go. Because I mentioned, you can whisper real quick. I think he should go to the NFL, like Vaughn mentioned, and there's a plethora of teams that should use him, like especially like the Chargers or something. Pair him up because last time he was in the NFL, he was on Vaughn's team and they were knocking on the Super Bowl door one time and went to the NFC Championship a few times. So
that 10 years later.
And you was doing good though. I was actually props to you guys for knocking on the door. But also, I just wanted to mention too, both of these programs, are coming from nowhere. We're used to seeing Ohio State, Georgia, all the big dogs that have been here for the last 10, 15 years, Alabama, they've really been dominant. So it's really been cool just to see two, like they mentioned so many times in the broadcast today, two teams that haven't touched this championship or anything like in 30 years. So, that's a cool shout out to them for even getting, both of these basically re-erected them from death, both of these college teams here. So that's pretty cool for them.
Yeah, man, the team up north got it done. It was hard to watch all day. I was just, everyone was asking me who I'm going for, and out of just spite for Michigan, I chose Washington. Washington could have been a 4-loss team. Anything. I was gonna pick the opposing team, but they got it done. And if you can't win the right way, I guess you just cheat and do it that way. So that's all I'm gonna say on the game about the team up north. So moving on to a top 10 quarterback in Jaevon Toddy's perspective in Coleridge Bernard. The Texans beat the Colts 23-19. Toddy, what were your thoughts?
Oh, we won money on this game, so it was definitely part of the hotline. It was always Texans -1. First play not first play of the game, but first play of the of the drive. CJ goes deep to Nico Collins for like a 72-yard touchdown, and I was lit. It was kind of just match made, kind of just how the game went on and transpired. I didn't really think Minshew was gonna get in over CJ because the Colts have been playing pretty solid even without Anthony Richardson. I would have loved to see this game if Anthony Richardson would have been healthy and it would have came down to this same type of deal and it went down to it if Rich was still healthy. But for Shane Steichen to get this team nearly to the playoffs with Gardner Minshew, and it literally comes down to the last play of the game, kind of questionable on why Jonathan Taylor was not in the game on that final play. He could have been tired, but a timeout was called before that, so I get it. Like, hey, get a sip of water. We're sending you back out there. You could run literally the exact same play for him out of the backfield. He probably catches that ball, and things probably go different. But pretty much the Texans controlled the game up until like late third. Colts start roaring back. Hats off to D'Amico Ryans, former San Francisco 49er, defensive coordinator. I mean, if you want to be a head coach, just come on over and be the D coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers because we get guys head coaching jobs. Saleh, he was the head coaching job. He was the D coordinator in 2019, went to the bowl. He's a head coach. D'Amico Ryans, he gets moved up. He was a linebackers coach, gets moved up 2 seasons. Boom. He really could have been gone after 1 season, but he was like, nah, I'm not gonna take the Vikings job. I'm gonna wait it out for CJ Stroud. Ends up getting the Texans job his second year. And now Steve Wilkes, he's getting looked at by guys right now as we speak. He's interviewing for head coaching job. So I mean, proof's in the pudding. But your guys' guy, Shane Steichen, made Gardner Minshew look like pretty serviceable quarterback for the duration of the season. And literally, like I said, it came down to the last play. Hats off to CJ and the boys. Texans are on fire. I always go back to the beginning of the year. Their win total was 5.5 wins. 6 wins. That's all they thought. That's all Vegas thought that they were going to win. They end up winning 10. And now, I mean, Texans are dangerous. Get into the playoffs. Don't let them win a couple games, man. CJ in his first year. Is DeMeco Ryans going to win head coach or coach of the year? I mean, it's not insane to say. It's definitely not insane to say. I thought Steichen was one of those guys in there. Stefanski is one of the guys for sure. DeMeco, rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, first time for everything. Even a rookie OC. It's pretty remarkable on how fast the Texans are building. And I also saw a stat, I know I'm rambling a little bit, about teams with the most cap space to spend next year. And I saw the Texans were on that list. So the Texans can go out and get another guy, DeAndre Hopkins, and kind of still be able to build around CJ with this very, this young roster. And they're getting guys like Tank Dell back too. So definitely got to watch out for the Texans in up and coming years too, because right now they're dangerous as anybody could be.
So before I move it on to you, Gary, we have some comments directed at Toddy that I have to have him talk about. So Khalil said he told you that CJ was 1A and Bryce was 1B. And he says, you know what he means too, Toddy. So
you got me.
Gotcha.
Caught me red-handed. Caught me red. The Drewski. You got me.
He's standing on business in the comment section. I'm going to let you guys know that now. But Gary, I'm going to swing it to you next. The Texans are going to the playoffs for the first time since 2019, I believe. What were your initial thoughts on just how CJ got this team and rallied them, have the number 2 overall pick coming into the draft or coming into the season, and now they're hosting a playoff game?
Man, oh man, what a tip of the cap to that team, obviously to their head coach, to them basically making a whole 360. Literally a year ago, they're talking about the trade they made for, Deshaun Watson, all the shit they're dealing with that. Like, they were just in a whole dumpster fire. So them, turning it around with CJ, and I watched him today on Pat McAfee, showed him just talking about them just being close-knit. They knew they had the guys and things of that nature. So it's really, when you believe in a team and you got greatness knocking at the door like they do in CJ Stroud really early, that's a great sign to have. Like, he's on pace so early, and Vaughn mentioned their situation going forward. It's looking like one of those teams where, like, he can strike really early while they don't have to even pay him yet, and he can maybe even rack up a couple bowl appearances or something like that. Because I don't know if we could talk about it later when we get to picks, but I wouldn't want to play this team right now. It's one of those things where like he said today on his thing, he was mentioning, like, what you don't know is you don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, I don't really know how hard it is to get to this point because all I know is winning, which is so far so true for him right now. So you got to give him credit. They like Vaughn mentioned talking about the game. Like, they're pretty much dominant, pretty much holding this game in their hand. You got to also give credit to the Colts. No one thought they were going to be this even in the realm of knocking on the door. Really, to be honest with you, especially with the whole situation that they had, or the running back situation with Jonathan Taylor this year. So it's nice to see him that he's basically trying to carry them on the back. That he needed to get paid and deserves a key component. And hopefully they can get their young guy under center, because this would have been a good, good rep, good little lesson for him to learn. But so they're really they have a lot of, they changed the coaches the last few years of quite a bit of time. So I guess they can be happy that they're good, laying a foundation, but at the same time, they only got nothing to look forward to too, because they still don't know if their guy's the guy yet, I feel like. So, shout out to the Texans, because they can be sneaky later, as we're going to talk about. They can be very sneaky.
Yes, man. And Kaz, I'm going to swing it to you next, man. What were your thoughts on rookie quarterback CJ Stroud leading the Houston Texans to their first playoff since 2019?
Well, first off, I called that game 100%. For my weekly picks, I picked the Texans to win for obvious reasons. One, shout out to Gardner Minshew. like Toddy said, what Steichen did with him all season long, I mean, that's impressive. How often does a backup play not just a couple games like Joe Flacco, but an entire season pretty much, and you put your team in that position? Also know Jonathan Taylor for a little while until he came back. I think he was injured twice this year, but I know once for sure. And, Michael Pittman, I guess I found out he ended up having a pretty solid season actually, but it was like really quiet. Losing Shaquille Leonard, it's like the AFC South was always open.
You're on your team now, right?
Yeah, we got him. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know though. You wouldn't know though. But the AFC South, it's just like the NFC South. Nobody knew coming into this year what was going to happen. I mean, yeah, you got CJ Stroud, but all the hype was around Bryce Young until we realized that there's nothing going on in Carolina, and that's just the way it's going to be. Fast forward to now, CJ Stroud faced some adversity this season, getting hurt, losing Tank Dell, ending up in this position and starting the game off on fire. Just proven again that he most likely deserves Offensive Rookie of the Year. I thought this game was expected. Most of the time, backup quarterbacks, they don't tend to pan out when it matters the most. And shout out to Gardner Minshew for, no touchdowns, but also no turnovers. That's big. But at the same time, kind of the opposite of what we saw tonight for the national championship. He didn't throw a lot. But look at Jonathan Taylor, ran for almost 200 yards. There's only so much ball to go around. So I won't say that Gardner Minshew didn't play well because those stats aren't all telling. If you watch the game, you would see that. The Texans deserve that win, I think. It would have been even worse if Tank Dell was still healthy. I think the Texans are questionable, but I think that D'Amico Ryans is got a little bit of edge on Shane Steichen. I think that Texans, just the team camaraderie is really good. Their defense plays really well. They did it without having any sort of run game all season long. CJ Stroud is the truth. He did what good quarterbacks do, and that is show up and you win a very important game. Not only did they win a game to solidify a playoff spot, but the Jaguars choking led to them getting the division and getting a home field advantage. So expected, and CJ Stroud he's now. There's no next year, maybe 3 years. No, now. Yeah. Shout out to Steelers because God, Jags, that's crazy. But yeah, so expected, man. I wasn't surprised at all, and I'm actually shocked that it wasn't by a larger margin. So
best quarterback in the division, I'll say that.
100%.
So Kaz mentioned the Jaguars. So I had a question for you guys. Is it
wait real quick? Sorry, real quick. I do want to say because Toddy said earlier that D'Amico Ryans was a former Niner. No, he was a former Eagle.
Texan, former Texan too.
So I saw something on Twitter that I just had to make sure that I brought up today. Would it be crazy at the end of next season to say Trevor Lawrence is the third best quarterback in the AFC South?
No.
Behind who? Who is it?
CJ.
Behind CJ.
Oh, I know he got injured a little bit too, though, Trevor. Man, I know he's on the downhill, ain't looking like the end, but he had a lot of big sparks. I know we living in the moment right now, guys. But Trevor Lawrence has showed some things literally last year in the playoffs, first round, coming back against we know who, our other guy, and Justin Herbert. So I know he had a poor second half of the season, didn't end well, but I also feel like he did get injured twice. So they're going to have to revamp some things and get better. But I just don't feel like he should just lose his place all the way. Obviously, CJ Stroud is better than him this year. I don't think we should throw him behind. The Colts got ready and play. Kev, what are we doing now?
But what
no
type of resume. Like Toddy said, like seeing what he did with Gardner Minshew makes you only think what Anthony Richardson played very, very good before he went down. Very, very
Gardner Minshew got some good little reps caught different places too. In Jacksonville, he had a good little spurt too. So shout out to backup QB staying ready for a long time.
The backup quarterback for sure. So
you got to have two QBs now.
Got to. Moving on to probably the most disappointing team in the NFL, in my opinion. The Bills beat the Dolphins 21-14.
I thought you were going to say the Eagles.
Kaz, I'm going to bring it to you first. What were your reactions to the Bills Dolphins?
Come on, Toddy, bro. Come on, man. Let up a little bit, bro, man. Damn.
Train of thought.
Earmuffs. I took the Dolphins to win that game. I really thought that. Yeah, I thought the first thing I noticed was I believe Vegas had the Bills like what 2.5, 3.5, something. It was more than 2 points. I'm like, man, how often because I mean, Miami's one of the top teams in the league. We're not going to ignore that. They're one of the top. I mean, they were fighting for the division, so it ain't like they were just some scrubs. They're at home. We know who they have in their offense. Granted, there was a couple guys injured, but we know who they have in their offense. And I was like, why are they underdogs? I could even see a 1 point swing, but I was like 2.5 or 3.5, whatever it was. I was like, come on, bro. Buffalo's nice right now, but I mean, then they picked it up the past, 4 or 5 weeks.
They're on fire.
But I'm like, let's not forget the beginning of the season. Even Buffalo Bills fans were like out on Josh Allen. Stephon Diggs has not done anything until this game. Literally, he had like 2 months of just nothing. I mean, it just James Cook was pretty much that entire offense. I mean, I just didn't think that Miami was gonna, kind of roll over and die. And I'm not saying that they did. Josh Allen just entered just Josh Allen mode, and there was nothing they could do. I mean, he was extending plays. He was playing backyard football. He was taking the hits. He was landing forward every time. He was finding Diggs. Diggs had a couple nice snags. One in particular, well defended, maybe even probably PI on that throw, and he still caught it somehow, some way, showing that Stephon Diggs is not washed. He's not done. He still is the guy to get the ball to. I'm not surprised the Bills won, but I'm somewhat kind of down about it because I don't know. I just really want to see something new. I want to see something new. And they talked about, I believe on SportsCenter or whatever, about how the Patriots for the longest time, they've ran the AFC East, and it's been that way for a long time. And then it's like now the Bills, they're winning it left and right, and it's just like they can't find a way to just go out there and win that division. And it was right there for the taking. The Bills showed signs of vulnerability. Josh Allen throwing some picks. I believe he had 2. If not miss, was it 2?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But you got to close out, and I think that them having injuries was just the straw that broke the camel's back. They needed to have all their guys there and to play a complete game, and they played about a good half of football, and that's about it. So not surprised that the Bills won. A little disappointed in the Dolphins.
So Gary, in our stats over politics pick'em, you were the only person in the group to pick the Dolphins. So what were your initial thoughts after the Dolphins lost to the Bills 21-14?
Man, oh man, the Dolphins kind of disappointing because I'm not gonna lie, I slept on I didn't pick the Dolphins to win this. I picked the Bills to win this division at the beginning of the year, and so, but I called, which I got proven wrong, I guess, and you could say once they lost that game to you guys, I'm pretty sure I was like, they're done. It's pretty much, it was over. I was like, they're not really mad. I think they're going to make the playoffs because they still had to play Dallas, the KC, they ran through. So, and they had to play Miami one more time. So I thought the league's going to go, 2-3, 3-2, something along that nature. Obviously, they went 5-0 and they punched their ticket to the playoffs. It obviously with a little help too as well. But man, oh man, the Dolphins fumbled the bag here. The Bills were basically trying to get them to win this game. And man, oh man, Tyreek on a couple plays to Tua, that connection that was going crazy. I know Waddle was missing and they haven't been the same since, but that's scary. And they were in Miami. That was the weird thing. You thought you're at least in Miami, you were going to see the high-flying offense to make that, put more pressure on the Bills to really step up. But the Bills defense was having none of that. They were the aggressive team last night, and when you play aggressive with that type of offense, you kind of take the players out of it. And again, just a couple plays here and there. Again, like the last few weeks, Tyreek Hill could have been close. I know I predicted, and I was wrong there too, of him breaking that mark of 2,000 yards, but man, oh man, he was close. If you would have had a couple breakout in these couple games that he just barely missed, that you can either say it was his fault for dropping it or either Tua's fault, however you want to look at it. Either way, it just didn't happen. That can change your season, especially when you're relying on that side so much, and and everything's not perfect on the defense. That when the defense was doing well, is obviously they did cause some trouble for Josh Allen as well, not even being healthy as much as they could be. So the Bills took advantage. Obviously, Vaughn said they technically on a hot run, even though I still don't really believe it, to be honest. I just don't feel like in the playoffs, at the end of the day, they still got to say that I think they have 3 turnovers total and with 2 interceptions from Josh Allen. And at the end of the day, in the playoffs, if you turn the ball over, it's going to be the death of you. So I just feel like that's going to happen still with the Bills and Miami. They could have been set themselves up great. Everyone has to come through Miami except only the Ravens. So that would have been just a great advantage for them because they don't have to go play in the cold because their offense, even though they got players who have played in the cold, obviously like Tyreek Hill and things of that nature, it's just better to play in that type of system more at home, obviously, too, especially being their first run. Like Kaz said, you want to take over the division. You basically have to control the division all year. So basically letting the rope right at the very end and giving them the confidence. I know it's an in-division game and anything can happen, but still, this is the time they could have took the victory lap that we're the kings of the division this year, and you're going to fight for it going forward between us. So, and Tua could have, he stamped himself because now all the haters are coming right back out of Tua. So this is a big major game that hurt the Dolphins, and the Bills fans should be feeling good, but I don't think they should be feeling too great because there hasn't been too much. Still, they should be proud of looking back at the team that they just beat too. They beat New England one time, and I forgot the other team they beat. So the New England. Let me see real quick. New England and the Chargers, who were early on the downfall. Dallas, we know how they play on the road, and they barely beat KC, and they barely beat KC. So I don't want to believe the hype, even though the hype is rolling right now for the Bills.
Yes, so Toddy, I'm going to bring it to you next. The Bills beat the Dolphins 21-14. But before you answer, Marcellus has something he wanted to say. Bills are average. Josh Allen is a piss-poor quarterback with a strong arm. So before you dive into the game, Toddy, please respond to your cousin Marcellus.
Wow.
Well, I think the average quarterback is Tua Tagovailoa. I think he has limitations, and I feel like Mike McDaniel is scheming up a masterclass to keep the Dolphins in these games, pretty much. And you have guys like Jalen Waddle, who was hurt, and you have guys like Tyreek Hill, who almost achieved 2,000 yards in the season, but due to injuries, he wasn't able to achieve that. So the Dolphins won the turnover battle. Josh Allen had some very questionable throws in the red zone. One particularly early in the game that cost them points. But the Dolphins weren't really able to capitalize off the turnovers in totality. And the difference in this game pretty much was special teams. The 90-yard punt return that they had was atrocious on the Dolphins' end. And that was pretty much the tipping point in the game. And that happened late in the third. The Dolphins weren't really able to capitalize kind of when it comes down to Tua needs a drive to, put his team to tie the game up or to make a statement in the game, and Tua has to go drive down the field and score a touchdown. He's proven time and time again throughout the season that he's not really capable of doing that. So as far as Josh Allen goes, he only had 8 incompletions. 2 of those obviously were interceptions, but this was kind of the typical Josh Allen game. We need you to go out there and throw the ball almost 40 times and basically put the team on your back and win. And that's pretty much what he did. Did have some help with special teams, but the Bills are one of the hottest teams in the NFL. I think they won 6 of their last 7, if I'm not mistaken. And they're riding high going to the playoffs. Now, I get they didn't play particularly well, but that only speaks to volumes of what they can do if they do not turn the ball over. Now, Josh Allen has turned the ball over in pretty much almost every single game of
Did he
this
finish
year.
leading the league? He might have.
I think he probably does lead the league in interceptions. But if you do want to make some money, you can definitely bet on Josh Allen interception, and it will definitely cash. So you could probably bet on him to throw one next week against Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, we're not Minka though in the back, but
I mean, I knew the Bills were going to win. It was just pretty much ugly. I had Bills -3 on the hotline, so that did cash. So kind of going back to the game itself, I never really thought Miami would win because Miami never really beats Buffalo anyway. I get they were. Miami was at home, but it never really matters. Buffalo usually pretty much handles Miami. But, going into the playoffs, they are the 2 seed now, and Buffalo's feeling good about themselves. I get that the win was ugly, but like Kaz said, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, nobody thought this Bills team was going to make the playoffs at 6-6. So, got to give them credit where credit is due.
There's a clip of me saying in a way they're done. So
yeah, so I believe Buffalo is favored against the Steelers going into next week. So
they are for sure. We're gonna shit shock the world. Don't worry, stay tuned.
We'll see about that.
So before we move on, Toddy, I was looking through our TikTok, and every time you refer to Josh Allen, you refer to him as Madden Boy. Is the Madden curse over? Did he beat the curse? Did he beat the allegations of being on the Madden cover?
I mean, he led the league in picks, so
to be determined.
Yeah.
Though he turned it around. He beat the allegations.
Sure, he beat the curse.
So, I mean, the bad guy never wins the Super Bowl. They just always have a horrible season.
If you lose to us, but it's not
He didn't
beats
have a
Curse.
terrible
Curse
season,
got
though.
him.
I wouldn't say he had a bad season. He had, like you said, they're 2 seeds, so they figured it out.
Okay.
Barely.
Now we're going to move into our quick Week 18 recap, so we can get into this wild card round. So, Gary, we're going to start it off with your guys. The Ravens beat the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Ravens 17-10.
Man, what can I say, man? We handled business, even though they didn't really need to try because Lamar wasn't there and some starters were out for the Ravens. But we still handled business. Offense scored a little bit. You know what? It don't matter. As long as we handle business, I'm ready to talk about us versus the Bills coming up here very soon. But that's all I can say. We handled business. We punched our ticket. We in the dance from a little help from the Titans. Good looking.
So, Kaz, I'm going to bring it to you next. The Tennessee Titans in the Jaguars playoff hopes, 28-20. What were your thoughts?
Oh man, not to keep bringing up my picks, but 110% took the Titans to win that game. It's right there on the channel. I said that. I say it every year. Okay, the Tennessee Titans, when they're bad, they always, for some weird reason, find a way to win a game that they have no business winning. And on top of that, it's always a critical game for the other team. I don't know why, but they just do. They did it against the Ravens 2019, Lamar Jackson's MVP year. They weren't supposed to win that game, obviously. And they ended up winning that game and then ended up losing the very next game, rightfully so. I want to say it happened.
The AFC Championship game, too.
Yeah, and I want to say it's happened in 2020, 2021. I mean, I can't think of the exact games, but the Titans just do that. I don't know why. I don't understand it, but they just do. They are the team that is going to ruin it for somebody. And I said it in earlier predictions. I'm like, you know what, man? Like, the Titans, they haven't had one of those games yet. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick it. This can be the game to where they're at home. It's potentially Derrick Henry's last game, which it sounds like it is after he did his little farewell speech. And they have guys who can make plays. Jacksonville is not that great right now. It was mentioned earlier, Trevor Lawrence, a little banged up. On top of that, I'm not a Trevor Lawrence believer. I think he's a good quarterback at best. Just a good quarterback. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's amazing at all. And you guys can hate me for that. But I'm like, Jacksonville hasn't shown me anything this year to where I'm like, they can just take down a team that's just, not a good team. They need to play good football in order to win. And something tells me that Tennessee is going to win this game, and they happen to win that game. And I'm honestly not surprised. I'm really not. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence last year, doing what he did against the Chargers in the playoffs with that crazy comeback. But as a Trevor non-believer, I was like, this is the golden opportunity for him to show up a little bit hurt, a little banged up, and, put the team on his back and win this. And he looked terrible. He looked absolutely terrible. I mean, I can't say a good thing about that game when it came to Trevor Lawrence. I can't. Etienne looked okay. Evan Ingram, he had a couple, solid plays, but outside of that, Calvin Ridley, of course, too. But he's too inconsistent. But the Titans handled business, and I'm glad Derrick Henry went out with the bang. Well over 100 yards rushing. He got a touchdown. I'm happy. Derrick. And I sound like a hater. I'm not really a hater. I hate when players come into the league and they're way overhyped before they even do anything. Trevor Lawrence's first year, rookie year, he looked terrible. Well, he's a rookie, you don't have anybody there. Okay. They go get Dougie P. He has a solid second year, or not Dougie P, but Urban Meyer has an okay second year. And then he gets Dougie P. And it's like, okay, all right. Trevor Lawrence is actually good. It's a facade. He's good at best, and I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with that until I see otherwise. We've seen CJ Stroud do what he did his first year. We've seen guys hate on all you want. Jalen Hurts in his second year starting go to a Super Bowl. We've seen quarterbacks that are lesser than Trevor Lawrence, who's supposed to be the next coming of Jesus Christ, apparently coming out of college. And he looks nothing like it. He looks like a decent quarterback at best, and I'm actually glad that they lost that game. I did not want to see the Jaguars in the playoffs. I felt like they would have been just a team that would have just, first round flopped. I like the playoff lineup right now for the AFC. And yeah, shout out to the Titans. Not surprised at all.
So Toddy, I'm going to bring it to you next. This is the team that you had going to the end. Oh, actually, wrong game. So I'm going to have you cover the Lions and Vikings game. What were your thoughts on the Lions beating the Vikings 30-20?
Had Lions money line on the parlay this past Sunday, so that helped. Didn't help that they, went all the way down to the wire for no reason against Nick Mullins. So that could be foreshadowing something for next week, possibly. Justin Jefferson is out of this world. I think he had 200 yards or over 192 yards was the last thing I saw that he had. He is just out of this world. It really doesn't matter who's the quarterback. He's going to go out and get whatever, coverage. It really doesn't matter. He's basically always open, as Jamar Chase just said. But, hats off to the Lions. They did lose Sam Laporta. I saw a report saying that he has an outside chance, an outside shot of playing. Does that mean he's going to play? He's not going to play? I don't know what that means. but
propaganda.
I did see your guys' boy, CJ, got the start at corner. I think got an interception too. So that's promising for them in the secondary. But by the look on Kaz's face, I don't know how he feels about that. But Kevin was unwilling to pay him. And the secondary is in shambles. Kevin.
He wanted Micah Fitzpatrick money, and he ain't Micah.
Okay. Well, sometimes you got to pay to play. But just going back to the Lions. It was a magical season for them, them winning the division, and hats off to them. But they do have a tough test in the Rams coming up this week. So
the return.
Yeah, the return to Stafford.
So Gary, I'm gonna bring it to you next. Connie, NFC. Your team going to the NFC Championship, and the New Orleans Saints beat the Atlanta Falcons 48-17.
Shout out Jameis.
Did not make the playoffs. 48-17, great. I didn't watch this game. I'm not gonna lie. This game was no playoff implication. You didn't watch it. But just to recap, I guess their seasons, I would say Atlanta firing their head coach today, and Arthur Smith, and I think I seen today there's a report that maybe Eric Bieniemy in Washington, former KC genius, alongside Andy Reid, might have an opportunity at a head coaching job, and he's been obviously knocking on the door for a head coaching opportunity for quite a long time now, so maybe he gets a chance there, just seeing early things around that. So, and this team, Atlanta, man, they got some things, obviously, in Atlanta in terms of young studs. They're not really sure on their Desmond Ritter. I mean, he had always looking at stats, had a so solid game, but obviously probably not according to the game and the real score. But BJ Robinson and Scotty Miller and Drake London, Kyle Pitts, they have a lot of guys who are young, talented guys. So they got to find a head coach who can really steer that team in the right direction and find their guy, because they're pretty much lost. But it's always good when Atlanta's cooking and good in football, because I just feel like they bring a lot of attention to the sport too. I feel like Atlanta's always been a solid team. So when they're riding high, it's always good to see, especially that stadium rocking. So hopefully they can get a guy to steer them in the right direction, because they have a lot of young good studs there. And the Saints, I don't know, they're gonna keep going with Derek Carr. I mean, I guess he's still a solid QB, can do his thing, some things right, but if you're going, obviously, Sean Payton's gone. The whole regime of their prior of all the winning they've had is gone out the building. So they should just restart an all in all and just trying to find their next QB. If you just, I would give the same advice to my team, because they're benching a QB that we thought was going to be our starter. So, and if you don't have your QB, you might as well, this type of the way things are now in the NFL, you got to find your guy. If you can't find your guy, you might as well just if you don't feel like he's the guy out of the bar, you don't see it quickly enough, right? You might as well stop wasting time. Don't be like New England Patriots this year, waiting 3 years to find out when you probably could have got last year. Yeah, and like my guy. I already mentioned that, Vaughn. I already mentioned that. So, yeah, they're both the teams in nowhere land, to be honest with you. But I guess it's cool to score 48 for Saints to end it on a good note, going and packing your bags and getting them checks for the end of the year.
So, Kaz, I'm sorry you have to be the one to report on this game, but the Jets beat the Patriots 17-3 in arguably Bill Belichick's last game. How do you think the season went on?
Touchdown.
The Patriots just debacle of the season.
Here's how I think about it. Next game. No, I'm just kidding. So I actually did. So like I mentioned, I bartend on NFL Sundays because I'm always at the bar anyway, so I might as well make some money. So I was watching that game, and I was like, you know what, man? why? Just why? I mean, it's Belichick's last game. It's typical New England weather in the middle of January or early January. I'm like, it's snowing, and you just lay an egg like that. It was embarrassing. I mean, put up a fight. I mean, that's one of the most winningest coaches in NFL history, if not the most winningest coach. I'm not really sure on that, but regardless, I mean, go out with a little bit of effort, you know. And the game was trash, as expected. New York, I mean, they did bare minimum and they won comfortably. The Patriots have been bad all season long, and they just pretty much solidified their season with that game. I mean, it's that simple. They look like trash all season. And the last game of the year and Belichick possibly leaving, they were pretty much going to say, like, hey, like, yeah, this is who we are, and I don't care if Belichick's our head coach. Clearly they don't respect him, apparently. I don't know, because I saw zero effort that entire game. They didn't even want to be there. So, yeah, just piss poor game. A waste of time, a waste of energy to watch, and I feel really bad for – actually, no, I don't, because you're an idiot for going to that game. So whoever went to that game in attendance, that's your fault.
That's on you, buddy.
It's on you, man. Sorry. That's just ignorant.
So I'm going to take this next game. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beating the Panthers, and if there was anything that made me say, damn, there's light at the end of the tunnel, was this game right here. The Panthers, who haven't had a fourth quarter lead all season, forced them to only score 3 field goals, and everybody played, so it's not like they were sitting guys. So this, as everybody knows, I am a fellow Eagle fan like Kaz. This gives us a lot of hope. They couldn't really get the run game going. Baker Mayfield was doing his thing, but 20 of 37 for 137 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 sacks, or 0 interception. He was sacked 4 times. Shows that their offensive line has a lot of holes, but against the Eagles, you know, everybody looks great. So I just wanted to say that coming into the wild card weekend, this is the kind of team that I want to play. Coming off a 9-0 victory, if they would have beat the shit out of the Panthers 45-0, I'd be like, all right, well, you know, it's going to be a hard one. But seeing them coming off a game like this gives me, as an Eagles fan, a lot of hope. So, Toddy, I can see it in your face, so we'll save it for our picks. So you don't have to say it right now. So we're going to take it to you next. The Browns destroy the Bengals 31-14.
You know, the Browns pretty much rested everybody. I picked the Bengals to win this game. Apparently, to Jake Browning, he's one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the league. And
hopefully
he just so happens to be on a team that has a guy who was top 5 in the league. I thought that was pretty out there. He might not be lying, though, because if we go quarterback for quarterback, he might be like 30. Maybe
he should get an opportunity, though, somewhere for sure.
An opportunity he shall. So, didn't really. There was this. I saw a crazy parlay. I forgot what the guy's name was, but he plays on the Browns, and he had 2 touchdowns, and somebody like hit 40 bands on him to score 2 touchdowns, but he like never plays though. So it's like, who are you? Like, who is Googling these numbers and depth charts at 3:00 in the morning? Trying to put these parlays together, these player props. So hats off to that guy for getting in the lab and cooking. But that was pretty much the most interesting part of this game, was that bet.
So, Gary, I'm going to swing it to you next. The Packers beat the Bears 17-9 in the season finale, possibly ending the Justin Fields era in Chicago. What were your thoughts?
Who's our Packers fan in our chat? What's his name again?
Khalil.
Khalil, man.
He says Green Bay is the hottest team in the NFL.
Sheesh, Green Bay is, you know, I think Khalil said something a couple weeks ago. He just want to see them in the dance to see his guy get some, you know, get an opportunity, and he shall. And it's going to be in Dallas. And in this game, you know, you got to give Green Bay credit. They, you know, finished off the season pretty strong. They won the last 3. They were in a lot of gettable games this year. I'm looking back really all year. They hadn't really got blown out anywhere. So Khalil should be happy that, you know, they kind of figured it out towards the end here. Jordan Love, you know, is hitting the next gear, proving again. That was so funny. I was at work, and one of those OGs, like, super, he's probably watched. He's been a Green Bay fan for so long, probably comes up to him randomly. I didn't even know he was a Green Bay fan. And he just came to start talking about the Packers. You know, one thing Green Bay does great, we groom our guys for a while. You know what? You can't say nothing wrong about that because they did it with every single quarterback. They made them sit and made them learn, and it paid off for the last two. And I guess they got the formula right again because if this look like it's paying off, no interception, 2 TDs. They got a lot of young guys who, again, kind of like the Texans, don't know what they don't know because they're young and they're showing up. And for the others, so they should be really, really happy looking going forward. And for the Bears' perspective, yeah, it could be Justin Fields' last game. He probably should get a restart. It's one of those things that I feel like he still can be good. And he's not like has any personal problems or you see some greatness in him, but at the same time, it just doesn't look like it's a good fit with. You just don't want to be Chicago, man. Chicago just needs a guy who is just super ultra talented who can change it themselves. You know what I'm saying? Not a guy who kind of needs some things around him to be looking great. Like Justin Fields, probably like he could be great, but looks like he's gonna need some help around him. He's not gonna change things in Chicago. So I feel like they got a chance. I think obviously they have their pick still, right? And they get another pick now from the Panthers, I believe. So they can set themselves up if they can hit 2 home runs right here, bing, bing, and boom, they can set themselves up to after they trade him too, who some people should take a flyer on him because I still feel like he's young and can prove some things in this league if he can have the right coaching and right team built for him. So he still has an opportunity to get good because he's shown some glimpses. So I guess this team, it could be both of these teams can kind of take positives out the year in a way because I bet you people didn't think they wouldn't be 7-10 either. The Bears, I always think a little worse. So they did, pick up some wins here and there this year. So maybe okay, maybe they do keep them. You never know. Maybe they said last year they want to build around them. Why you want to give up on that now? They could, use that pick and get even more things. But at the end of the day, there's some good guys in this draft that you might want to go grab.
So before we move on, Gary, there's a comment that is directed towards you, and it says, "Free Justin Fields to Pittsburgh." Do the Pittsburgh fans want Justin Fields, or are you guys cool with 2 glove?
I don't want anything, but I know my team, man. We're loyal to the soil. Probably going to keep Kenny for another year till we realize he's not the man because he ain't got nothing special about my man. So even though I would love just to, we all know my team got a lot. Then we're going to talk about it later when we get to it. We just let it go, okay? We'll come back. We'll come back. I'm going to give all my stuff here.
Khalil is back in the comments, standing on business, telling Kevin and Toddy to never bet on the Bears again. Like I told you,
just bet on the Bears last week and won.
I let them get in my ear. Toddy took my part.
I got that right up.
Fan club. He was giving me all this shit, and I went with them, and yeah, never again. But Marcellus also had to say, Kenny stinks.
Kenny is garbage.
So guys, the Cowboys clinched the NFC East, unfortunately, by beating the Commanders 38-10. And Ron Rivera woke up this morning to a pink slip.
Yeah.
He turned in his bad game.
First and foremost, man, fuck the Cowboys, man. Fuck that shit, bro. Like, we played our starters. I know we're talking about the Cowboys Commanders, but we played our starters in hopes that there's an opportunity to get that 2 seed, win the division. And the start of that game, if you guys watched it, Commanders were right there. And then all of a sudden, the Commanders commanded. They commanded, man, and they got that ass whooped. The Cowboys, as much as I hate to admit it, are a very good football team right now, and it is because of Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. Their defense is solid. They have guys on defense who can make plays. Deron Bland, obviously Micah Parsons getting double teamed pretty much the entire season, so that's why he didn't have, I don't think he's even top 6 in sacks this year, but those stats aren't all telling. If you actually pay attention to the games, you'll know why. But yeah, they're good. And I've said it before. I think I've even probably said it on one of the previous podcasts with you guys, but the Cowboys are probably the best team in the league at beating up on shit teams. They love to bury shit teams, and it ain't no 21-0 or 21-7. No, it's like 40-50 to 7-10. That's just what they do. They do it every year to a couple teams, and it is what it is. Not surprised. Commanders stink. I did pick the Commanders to win because I just hate the fucking Cowboys, and I was hoping to God that it would just happen. But yeah, man, we're gonna get to that later on when we get to the pick 'em. But yeah, man, it is what it is, though. Expected. We all expected it. And I'm surprised it wasn't by worse. So Cowboys win, and we're just gonna have to wait around about a week or 2 before we get to celebrate their demise. So yeah.
Just a week.
From an Eagles fan perspective, keep the hat.
Moving on to the next game, the Raiders beat the Broncos 27-14. And all I'm going to say about this is if Antonio Pierce. If Antonio Pierce is not the head coach for the Raiders moving forward, it's just going to continue to be a shit show. You know, we saw, 2 years ago, and they had another interim coach lead them to the playoffs. And just having a locker room where is a litter of men. And that's what they have right now, a former player, someone who's going to get it out the mud. You saw him go into Kansas City with the Black Air Forces. He's standing on business. And, yes, I understand that the Broncos are in a downward spiral right now with their quarterback situation, A, B, C, and D. But Antonio Pierce is the guy. And Marcellus said, #we won AP. Devontae Adams came out and said that that's the guy that they want. Max Crosby, you see him always. He loves the cigars after the game. Just building a winning environment. Marcellus came on the pod and said the Raiders were going to win the division.
Oh, he was kind of close.
Everyone thought it was crazy. And then Antonio Pierce gets into town and they're like, they beat the Chiefs. I don't know. It's the up there. They start winning a couple games. They put their quarterback they just paid all this money to on the bench and porn star Jimmy. So they are just playing really well right now. And as a non-biased fan, as someone who doesn't have any ties, I would love to see Antonio Pierce continue to coach for the Raiders. And if not for the Raiders, he definitely showed that he deserves a spot here in the NFL. So, Kaz, I hope you're ready for this. I put this up perfectly because I wanted to kind of get the Eagles narrative going early. So, Toddy, I'm going to bring it to you. The New York Giants beat the Eagles 27-10.
It was a horseshit performance by the Eagles. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Had them on the parlay. Don't know why. I was like, it's the Giants. Like, it's Tyrod. They're going to New York. I get they, almost pissed themselves on Christmas, but, that's in the past. AJ goes down, and I'm like, okay, that's not good. Hurts' hand was all jacked up, and they kind of just mailed it in. And I just think that pretty much that was the entire game. Never really had a chance. The Eagles kind of just gave up. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Marcellus said
the wings fell off.
The
ling. Oh.
So that was going to be a lot worse, but I'm happy it was nice, short, sweet, to the point. So, Gary, I'm going to swing it to you next. The Seahawks beat the Cardinals 21-20.
Von Les fell off the hook. I'm surprised he didn't go in. Did his camera mess up or something? Man, shit, Von, come on now. Supposed to be like a 5-minute ramp on that one.
I'll get back to you when we do our picks.
Man, okay, I guess I'll have to give Von some help. This is Seahawks, Cardinals, Kyle Murray, Geno Smith. This game was actually one of the good games in this weekend, just going toe-to-toe to the very end. I'm just looking for the future for both of these franchises. I think the Niners, this is going to be one of the hardest divisions. The Niners, I know, kind of walked through this division this year pretty much kind of easily, people could say, in some sense. But hey, the Cardinals, Kyle Murray's back from his injury, basically missing the whole year, proving that, he's something that still is scary, and they're going to build around him. I think I've seen the owner come out and say that and things of that nature. So they still got James Conner. They still got some guys that they should be able to draft with their 4-13 record to, build around in Arizona. And Geno Smith still proven that he's a solid QB in this league. They have a lot of good young guys too. Like, Kenneth Walker. There's guys on the defense too that are really good. So they're a team that's 9-8 around the borderline. Let's see how the draft goes. But again, Pete Carroll keeping them in the running. So I think at some point they're going to have to maybe start over too. I don't want to give up on Geno just yet because he's proven that he deserves his opportunity. He's, again, I'm going to go back to top 30 quarterback in the league. He for sure is one of them. But is he going to be the guy to propel them to make some noise in the playoffs? We're going to have to see, because they've been just an up and down roller coaster. If I'm a Seahawks fan, it's been really up and down, and you don't really know what their identity is and what they're going to get from week to week from the Seahawks. So that's, I think, that the positive negatives from the Seahawks perspective. I think overall the Cardinals should be pretty happy. They were in a lot of these games this year, even with a backup quarterback, and when their guy came back, you could see that they had full confidence in him going forward. So, because there's been a lot of talk with Kyler, like, is he going to be there? Is he going to stay? I know they paid him and things, but it kind of sounded like it was kind of regretful, especially after the injury, and then I guess the nonsense about his contract and how it's set up, his priorities. So hopefully, He came back, looked like he's came back from injury, had a pretty solid end of the season, just, and looked like he's pretty much focused, and hopefully they can get him some pieces because it's going to be making Vaughn and Shaun over there sweating when the whole division's looking like it's back to where it should be, where it was a couple of years ago. And then the window automatically closes on the Niners that, again, went back to the early hardball years. I don't want to keep going back on you. Y'all number one, got a bye week. Y'all relaxing this week. So, let's
Kyler's
say
been a
how
non-factor ever since he's been in the NFC West, so I'm not worried about that.
Not really. What?
So,
that's a blast.
Cat, to close off the NFL Week 18 recap, we have the Rams beating the 49ers 21-20.
Well, you said this was me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got to say, yeah. Hey, look, let me say it right now. Listen, I had about 3 Niners, and y'all doing the most, okay? I know y'all on the West Coast. Let me tell you what's going down here in the Midwest, all right? Here in good old Iowa. So, like I mentioned, I bought two fans. Yeah, hey, you're right, man. We big time. Caitlin Clark all day. But I got a good crowd of my football guys come out to my shifts, and I got about a good 2-3 Niners fans, and just sent. Well, I mean, there's some people I don't know that come in.
Yeah.
No, there's some others, but these are people I actually know. The other ones are like, kind of.
They're also in the Midwest too.
Yeah, I was like, I wouldn't imagine there being any Niners fans out there.
No, they're there. They're here, but the thing is, the ones I'm talking about are like actually my homeboys. I kick it with them. I know them.
Okay, got you.
So yeah, there's other ones, but so they since the what happened to us a few weeks ago, they've been coming down. You know what I'm saying, like flaunting, wearing their stuff, yada yada, all that good stuff, and you guys got
acting
the
first round at the bar, huh?
Yeah, look, you got the first round buy. Okay, we get it. They came down, jerseyed up, leather jacket up, hats, everything, all squat up in the corner. They're watching the game, and they're getting mad. They're getting mad about possibly losing this game. And then when you guys lost to the Rams,
we don't like the Rams.
Look, when y'all lost, even though you're sitting your starters, even though Rams were too, but they were upset. And I went to the end of the bar, and I was like, you know what, man? I go, y'all got some damn nerve. Y'all got some damn nerve, bro. You mad because y'all lost in a game that don't matter. That's like when the Cowboys beat us. What was it about? I'm like 4 or 5 years old. We sat our starters. They beat us like.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Something crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you think I care? There's guys playing right now I've never even heard of. I don't care about this game. Y'all was on that, man. It was pathetic. It was silly. I'm not surprised. I did pick the Rams to win. I was shocked that they sat their starters because if I'm not mistaken, if they were to win and the Packers lose, they got the 6th seed. Now, sitting their starters was risky because if the Packers did end up winning, and if they would have lost, I believe the Rams would have got the 7th seed. Am I right? Yeah, if they would have lost to Niners? Yeah. So they did end up winning, which is good for them, But if y'all would end up losing that game, the Rams, that is, you have to play Dallas and Dallas. You're going to risk sitting your starters, not at least putting up a fight against the San Fran backups, maybe playing a first half of football, running up the score, and then resting your starters. They lucked out. The Rams lucked out because I tell you what, right now, the last place that they would want to be is in Dallas. And that's just the truth. Dallas has won 8 straight at home. They haven't lost for like a year and a half, I'm not mistaken, outside of the playoff game. But in the regular season, they ain't lost for a minute at home. Why the hell would you want to go there? So the Rams lucked out. They won by a point. And I just thought that was a stupid decision by Sean McVay or whoever makes the calls to sit those starters. Put them in a position to get that 6th seed. You know who you have to play. I'd much rather play Detroit, knowing I'm going to play Detroit, than to go into Dallas. So they lucked out. It is what it is. Yeah, we'll see what happens. They got Detroit coming up, and again, gonna be good playoffs.
The Rams knew that Chicago wasn't beating Green Bay.
So it was close to the fourth quarter. It was close to the fourth quarter, and like Green Bay blew them out at the very end. They pulled away, but
the ownership is still in place.
So that concludes the NFL Week 18 recap. This is episode 73 of Stats Over Politics. Got Kevin Dent here trying to fill in for Shaun Hoko. We have Jaevon and Garry Singh, and we are rejoined with Kaz Johnson of KazzyBear TV. We're happy to have you, Kaz. And now we're going to get into the grittiness of the show. Everyone wants to know our wild card picks, A, B, C, and D, so it's time to get into it. So, Garry, as the AFC fan, who is the scariest team in the AFC playoffs?
All right, I thought I was gonna get to take my victory lap real quick for the pick'em, but hold on, let me go to some other notes real quick. All right, the scariest team in the AFC playoffs, I think. Oh, the AFC. Oh my bad. Hold on. Oh, the AFC. Oh yeah, it's gonna be easy. That's gonna be the Texans. I'm gonna have the Texans as the scariest team in the AFC playoffs. Like I mentioned earlier, I wrote in my notes. They got a guy. They don't know what they don't know. They got a young guy showing greatness early, which is a terrific sign if I'm a Texans fan to see. They got a head coach that has the ear of all their players, that has them playing pretty solid football on both sides. So if I'm a Houston Texans fan and I am playing that 1:30 game against the Browns are going to be a very great defense, always showing up in CJ's house. But we're at home and we won the division and we're playing Joe Flacco. No offense to Joe Flacco. He's playing great right now, but he's been great right now. But at the end of the day, he is a veteran QB, and he has never been regarded like a Tom Brady in that sense. So I wouldn't be too scared of Joe Flacco in the playoffs in terms. I know he had his great run with the Ravens one year, but other than that, Joe Flacco really hasn't scared me as a Pittsburgh Steelers fan in the playoffs. So I don't think the Houston Texans should be also scared of. They should be scared of one guy over there. And that's a guy trying to get their best guy, which is Myles Garrett trying to come after CJ Stroud. That's all they need to worry about. So if they'll be able to handle this, I think they're going to be this guy. I know he said scariest, but I was taking that as a team that no one's going to want to play. It's going to be the underdog to sneak up on us. So that's why I took scariest. I think they're going to be the sneakiest team in the AFC in these playoffs.
All right, Kaz, I'm going to bring it to you next. Who is the scariest AFC playoff team?
Gary, your perspective is the same way that I looked at when I saw the rundown of the podcast tonight. I was like, it's easy to say the Ravens, but I'm talking that's expected. They're a good team. The scariest team is a team, like you said, they're going to show up and you don't want to play them, and why you don't want to play them. And every year it happens. I mentioned earlier, what did the Titans do to the Ravens in 2019? Not that the Titans at that year were the scariest team, but those teams exist. There are certain teams you just don't want to play. It's just really weird. It's really strange. And that is reliable, obvious, the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't care about how they looked all season long. I do not care. Why in the hell would you want to see two-time MVP, two-time Super Bowl champion, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce, who has not performed for 6-7 weeks, like over half the season? There's speculation that he has a neck injury or whatever. Who cares? You have Andy Reid, one of the best coaches of all time. Okay. You have Andy Reid, who has been there, done that on 2 different teams. You have Patrick Mahomes, who is Patrick Mahomes, worth $500 million. Okay. And you have Travis Kelce. You got Taylor Swift. You guys thought the whole Taylor Swift thing died off for a little while. No, it's going to come right back. Okay. She's going to be at the games. The camera's going to be on her. And you know what's going to happen? Travis Kelce is going to show up, and Arrowhead is going to be rocking. They're for sure going to win this game against Miami. And it's not because it's in Arrowhead. I just think that they're not going to go out. They're not going to first round flop. The Kansas City Chiefs are the team that you do not want to see in the AFC. They're not the most talented right now, but they have the best quarterback in that division. Maybe not this year, but all around they have the best quarterback division in that conference. They have the best quarterback. That's Mahomes. I'm taking Mahomes over Lamar, over Josh Allen. Over everybody still. I don't care about this year. Kudos to Lamar for probably winning MVP, but it's Mahomes, and you're gonna see. It's the Chiefs, and I don't see why it would be anybody else, honestly. So yeah.
All right, Teddy, I'm going to bring it to you next. Who is the scariest AFC team in the playoffs?
I think it's the Bills. They're the hottest. They're the most. I get that they didn't play well. But I think just the way that Josh Allen has been playing over the second half of the season, how it's starting to spill over into the playoffs. Like I mentioned earlier into the podcast, nobody had them making the playoffs when they were 6-6, and for them to go on this run that they have been, they're hot right now. I don't think Gary's excited to travel to.
Oh no, I'm excited
to Buffalo, New York, and see Josh Allen. So it's going to be a very intense matchup. But I do think that the Bills can be that team that probably makes it to the AFC Championship and faces a Lamar Jackson. Now I get, the Chiefs, they've been to the playoffs every single year since Mahomes has been the quarterback, never had a road playoff game. So I think that will, or it's not, it will, it's a fact that it will change. They will go on the road at some point during the playoffs. But I don't think Mahomes is comfortable when he plays with these types of receivers. I mean, we even saw a little bit of regression from Travis Kelce. Now he was a couple of yards short from 1,000 yards, but he didn't have 1,000 yards this year. I think it's the first time under the Mahomes era, or the first time in his career, to be honest, that he hasn't had 1,000 yards. But I don't think the Chiefs look as comfortable as they once were a while ago. Like, last year everybody was pretty comfortable. Like Mahomes will figure it out in the playoffs. This is not the same team. Obviously, this is the first year.
Win the chip.
This was the first year, without Tyreek Hill. We were wondering kind of what they would look like going into the year. But the Bills are too high right now. Besides, obviously, the Ravens. I think it's pretty much what everybody's thinking. Scariest team.
They should be scared because they're feeling like overwhelmingly like 1 gap 2. So
yeah.
I might be a little nervous.
Surprised scared and say the Steelers.
I'm just happy going to the Ravens, yeah, but I definitely thought Gary was going to say the Steelers. But in my opinion, like Kaz said, scariest team in the AFC is Baby Goat, Patrick Mahomes. He has never had this kind of a defense. Yes, they've had a rough go on offense. They led the NFL in drops A, B, C, and D. But this defense is one of the best in the NFL. And L'Jarius Sneed was a Pro Bowl snub. He's one of the best corners in the NBA or NFL, excuse me. They got young guys on the offensive line. You got Chris Jones, who's always going to show up and play. This team is going to go all the way, in my opinion. I believe that they have a chance to go to the AFC Championship. They have the pedigree. They have Andy Reid, and they have Patrick Mahomes. Arguably, I know, like Kaz said, you give Lamar Jackson his flowers, but everyone in here is still going to take Patrick Mahomes over the field in the AFC. So just because of that, you can't count them out early. This is the one time he's not favored to come out of the AFC. Everyone's counting him out, and this is when he shows that he's not going to have a fall off. He doesn't have to have the number 1 seed. He can go on the road and win a game, A, B, C, and D. So he's going to go do what everyone is already counting him out to do. So I think they are the scariest team in the AFC. So Gary, I'm going to swing it to you next. Who is the scariest team in the NFC playoffs?
Again, I took it as the sneakiest. I'm not gonna lie, so I'm gonna pick a team. Which I guess I picked my sneaky team is the Rams. I think the Rams are gonna be the most sneakiest team that you don't want to play. I feel like they're gonna give a wake up call to Detroit and the old guy, the OG, the one who's probably getting his jersey retired, maybe in Detroit, is gonna come. Spoil the party. You didn't think your aunt gonna come ruin the party, but he did. He's about to come ruin the party, and it's gonna be something to deal with for the Rams. That I talked about how my other scary team, the AFC, was because they were so young. This team right here is the opposite end of the spectrum. It's because they got the experience of winning the Super Bowl. They still got a couple guys on the Super Bowl team that's on here. Very few. They're teaching the young guys. Sean McVay got them playing great on offense. Cooper Kupp and Nakua, that tandem and how locked in Matthew Stafford is. I feel like their offense is going to keep them in games, and if their defense can play great in great spots because they still got a great player in Aaron Donald on the line. Other than that, the team is pretty young everywhere else. So if they can just make it a grinded-out game, I guess kind of like my Steelers do, I guess, in a sense, they have enough offense to really still take the top off and really get teams scared. So they're a team that I would not want to play, and I would say that watch out because they can sneak up on you, and believe it or not, you can see them in the NFC Championship game. You never know.
So I will go second in this one. So who was the scariest team in the NFC playoffs? You see Kaz's hat. You know what the fuck is going on. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. Everyone's counting us out. You do not want to be that team in the playoffs that the Eagles get it rolling.
You serious, Kev?
The Eagles get it rolling?
There ain't nothing y'all should be happy about.
Let's go. Let's go.
Look at them trying to pump up the. They're trying to
playing
bring it
bad
into the air.
week out. It got so bad that I had to turn the television off. I understand that, but now no one cares about the last 18 weeks. I've been posting all over social media. Everybody is 0-0. Nobody gives a damn that we lost 5 out of 6.
More like y'all scared, bro.
That the Rams won 4 in a row, A, B, C, and D. It's a whole new season. All we have to do is focus on the Bucs. We were able to beat the Bucs week 4, so I think this is going to be a perfect game to really catapult this Eagles team because, like we always mention the group chat, and Shaun said I was scared to come to Santa Clara. I'm not scared. I was telling Kaz before the show, if the Eagles can get 2 wins under their belt before we go to Santa Clara, motherfucker, it's up. And it's stuff, and we are standing on business. So all you Niner fans, I know you guys have been waiting to hear me talk, so now I'm here to talk. If we can get those 2 games under our belt, we're coming back, and we're bringing the stink to Santa Clara. So, Toddy, I don't want to hear from you right now because I'm feeling high. So, Kaz, I'm going to bring it to you.
I want to feel
Oh man, it cracked me up real quick. It cracked me up real quick because y'all ever see that Bugs Bunny meme where he's got like the crown on, he's sitting there like just straight face, like he's the king with the rings on. Bugs Bunny, y'all ever see that?
Yeah,
that's what Toddy looked like right now. Just like, man, we the Niners, we ain't worried about nothing, man. It's whatever. You just look. And I'm glad because guess what? I ain't gonna say nothing. We gonna see when that time comes. But I will say.
Don't you picking the same team, Kaz?
Shout out to my boy Kev, man. I appreciate just that. You gave, I'm warm now. They got me warm, bro. Because I've been cold these past few weeks, man. Real cold, real down bad, real cold. And if you got faith in our guys like that, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it. But I will say this: I'm not gonna pick the Eagles to be the scariest team in the NFC, even though we are. The scariest team in the NFC is, unfortunately, and I hate that, it's the Cowboys. They are playing with a massive chip on their shoulder, and you know what? Time and time again, especially within the past 10 years, I'll say what's Dax, you're number 8 now, 8 or not, something like that, 8, something like, yeah, whatever. They choke. The Niners get the best of them, and that narrative, it exists, and it's like, oh, the Cowboys, they're not going to go anywhere anyways. It's been 20 some odd years, almost 30 years, which is true. I don't think that they're going to go to the Super Bowl. No. But I think that they're going to most likely manhandle the god-living shit out of the Packers in an embarrassing fashion. And then whoever they see in the divisional, unless it's us, because we ain't going like that, but whoever else is seen in the divisional, I would not be surprised if this is the year that Dallas actually makes it to the NFC Championship. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope we get our shit together and we do what we need to do. And I'm with Kev. I do believe this ain't our team, man. It's not. It's not our team. It's not our team. It's not. This is not our team. I'm not in denial. It's the truth. If you watch Eagles football, if you pay attention to what's going on in Philadelphia, this is not our team. But I will say the Dallas Cowboys right now, never losing at home all season long, they're going to manhandle the Packers, unfortunately, and most likely going to handle business in that divisional. And then you're going to have the Cowboys fans going crazy on Twitter and all social medias before they get their ass kicked in the NFC Championship if they make it that far. So the scariest team is the Cowboys. I just think this is going to be the year where they're going to do what we all don't want them to do.
They're going to break the curse, guys.
That's going to win. They're going to win maybe 2 playoff games.
Damn.
Yeah, the Cowboys, man. I know. It hurt to say that, but it is what it is. Well, all in all, I'm with Kev, though. I think low-key, if we get our shit together, but I got to see it first, Kev. I got to see it first, man. So let's just get past the Bucs first, and then I might start talking some shit, but it's the Cowboys for me right now.
Life comes at you fast. Eagles choose the Cowboys. And I know
it ain't like that, bro. It ain't like that, man. Come on, my
man. Yeah, you done actually deflated your book. You done deflated them now,
man. It ain't like that. Look, this is stats over politics. I'm trying to abide by y'all's name. I don't want to put my heart and soul into what I really believe, man. I gotta keep it a band, bro. And right now, I mean, we all gotta admit the Cowboys. What can you say? Say something. You can't. Like you can't.
On that hill. All right, Toddy, let us hear it. Who's the scariest team in the NFC playoffs?
I mean, isn't it obvious, guys? Isn't it obvious?
The one person who picks the number 1 seed is out of both categories, of course.
The scariest team is obviously the San Francisco 49ers. Nobody wants to play us. We're the favorites to win the Super Bowl. Vegas thinks we're going to win it all. So, I mean, when you got all the guys going, Niners. I mean, we had 9 Pro Bowlers selected to the Pro Bowl. I don't know if you guys saw that a couple weeks ago.
Play flag football, Toddy. Congratulations.
We'll probably have 6 All-Pro players. 6, probably. I'll say at least 6 All-Pro players. So if Pro Bowls doesn't tickle your fancy, Kevin, we'll probably have 6 players in the All-Pro team, first or second. I mean, you got guys everywhere. What much more is there to say? You got 1,000-yard Brandon Ayuk, you got 1,000-yard George Kittle, you got the rushing champ and Christian McCaffrey, and I mean, I don't think you guys want to play us in the playoffs. I don't think you.
Don't speak for me, please.
I really don't think you guys want to come to San Francisco, Santa Clara.
Hey, look, I ain't never ducking smoke, bro. Never.
Yeah, well, we can go back and we go down memory lane. Just reminisce what happened the last time we played you guys in Lincoln Financial, the stink in the link, as we like to call it here on Stats Over Politics. And Cowboy fans quiver their mouth whenever they say our name. It's like we're the boogeyman to them. Whenever we play against them, whether it's in the playoffs, regular season, doesn't really matter. Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy, doesn't really matter. The Niners usually win those matchups as well too. So I think the Niners are going to come out of the NFC pretty handedly, and it's kind of just whoever we play. They got to come to us. Okay, we'll be ready. So,
cue the Bugs Bunny right now. Cue the Bugs Bunny meme right now. How he's acting, Bugs Bunny. I mean, who we are. You know who we are.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what Khalil was trying to say about 2017. What happened that year? I don't. Okay, but yeah, it's the Niners. Isn't it obvious, guys?
The Niners and the Ravens, huh? Hefty expectations. Will they crumble? Remember, you guys been knocking on the door a lot last few years. You don't want the door to close on you with your 9 Pro Bowlers. You got all pros all of a sudden. You better hit when the iron's hot, man. Let's see. Ain't nothing else to say but that you ain't lying.
But it is time to give the people what they want. They want the NFL wildcard picks, so we're going to start with Coleridge Bernard. Toddy, what are your thoughts for the Cleveland Browns going to the Houston Texans for the first game of the NFL playoffs?
It is very interesting. This is a very interesting matchup. Going back to a couple of weeks ago, the Browns kind of handled the Texans. Now, I get CJ didn't play in this game, but CJ doesn't play defense. And that's the only thing that scares me is this Browns team going to be able to move the ball consistently on this Browns defense? And so now I'm kind of worrying a little bit about CJ Stroud's protection because this D-line on the Browns is no joke. Like, this is not something to kind of, whiz by. The better quarterback matchup, I do believe it is CJ. I'm going to give the edge to CJ Stroud. And I get Joe Flacco has been playing at an all-time level. Coaching advantage is slight edge to Stefanski because he's been here. But, I mean, D'Amico's coached in NFC Championship games, so
did he win?
I think so. No, 2019. No, hasn't. So he doesn't have the edge that he doesn't have. I mean, he's never been a head coach in a playoff game before, so it's very, very quote. I'm seeing Kaz's quote tweet. I haven't been able to look at, but I see the mention. We'll get that live reaction after this quick analysis. But just going to the game, CJ Stroud, man, it's at home. Give me the Texans. Give me the Texans at home, man. I'm rocking with CJ.
All right, so we got one for the Texans. Kaz, I'm going to bring it to you next. Who do you have in the first game of the wild card weekend? Cleveland Browns at Houston Texans.
It's hard. I ain't gonna lie, man. But I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet. I'm riding the CJ Magic, man.
CJ Magic.
If CJ is able to put up 2 touchdowns and 320 plus, I think that'll be enough to beat the Browns. Shout out to Flacco. Yeah, I know. But it's CJ Stroud, and how many times he put up over 300 yards this season? He again, I've said it before. It ain't no we need to see. He is now. He's a top quarterback in the league, hands down, top 10 for sure. I don't think that. Shout out to Flacco on what he's doing. I think it's amazing. The Browns having the best defense in the NFL. It's gonna be a battle. I don't foresee the Browns. Their defense needs to win this game, and I don't think that CJ is going. I think that he's just. I don't know, man. Who's rooting against this guy? You know what I mean? Like, honestly, who's rooting against CJ Stroud or the Texans?
Deshaun Watson.
That's pretty much it. You know what I mean? And what better way to go out than to beat the Browns, where they have Deshaun Watson, which half the country hates because of what he went through and whatnot. It just would look good for the Texans, and it would look really bad for the Browns. And the Browns are in a position to do something that they've never done before, and that is potentially win a Super Bowl, which isn't going to happen. But I just think that the Texans, CJ Stroud's too hot. It's going to take, which knock on wood, I pray to God doesn't happen. It's going to take that guy getting injured for him to go down. It's that simple. CJ Stroud's just simply not going. He's playing championship level football. And what we saw last week, how he held himself facing adversity, he's ready. Not sure if he's going to make it to the Super Bowl or not, but he's definitely ready to get a playoff win. And it starts with Cleveland. CJ Stroud and the Texans all day.
All right, Gary, I'm going to swing it to you next. Got a division rival playing, so I'm going to be interested to see who you take. Are you going to take the Browns or the Texans in the first game of the wild card weekend?
The Browns have proven all season that they're nothing to be played with. Obviously, when they're losing their quote-unquote franchise QB that they paid all that money to, and Deshaun Watson, like Kaz mentioned, he did not play for majority of the year, being injured, and due to that, so then he wasn't looking like himself. And for Joe Flacco to come off his couch from his kids' practices and picking them up from school to hopping on the field and doing what he's doing, I feel like, props should be given to them. But at the end of the day, I picked the Houston Texans to be my sneaky team, and I feel like they're going to win this game. And I feel like they win this game, like I mentioned earlier, and we all mentioned multiple times that CJ Stroud's greatness is going to show through. And this is going to be a great matchup. You can for sure see the Browns. I'm not saying this is an easy game. I don't think this is going to be a close one. It's going to be a close one. I just feel like we're going to see a 2-minute drill by CJ Stroud to win this game. And because the Browns' defense is not no joke, like I mentioned earlier, so they're going to keep it close. And I don't really see Joe Flacco. It could be dream is over here, and he does go back to the Joe Flacco that we've seen, towards a little bit his other stops at the end of the year where he just looked really bad. But, he can also run it back, and this could be the Ravens. You never know, because he got so much knowledge. He got so much poise and experience that he can maybe go either way. It all depends which way he's trending. He's been trending upward, but at the end of the day, I just feel like I got the Texans. Even they're at home. Cleveland's favored by 2.5 right now, but I got the Texans. I got the young buck coming in and proving everyone wrong.
Damn. Well, there's always one, I guess. I'm gonna have to take the Browns. I've been the CJ fan club leader the whole way through, but if they were healthy all the way through, if they had a Tank Dell, I'd feel a lot better about this game. But Nico Collins being the only target CJ Stroud really has, is this run game going to be able to get going off the ground? Is Devin Singletary going to be able to get this run game off the ground? I just don't believe in their offense. I know that they have the plays and they were able to beat the Colts, but this Browns defense is arguably the best defense in the NFL. They only give up 21 points per game. That's 13th in the NFL. They've given up 88 rushing first downs, first in the NFL. Given up 136 passing first downs, first in the NFL. First in defensive penalties. They are 6th in the NFL in sacks. And they've given up the second least pass yards in the NFL. So this defense is no joke. You got Myles Garrett, you got Denzel Ward, both Pro Bowlers. This team is going to be scary. And, the question comes down to who's going to be the better quarterback. I think CJ Stroud definitely outplays Joe Flacco. But we're all forgetting that Amari Cooper had a crazy game 2 weeks ago. So he's coming in playing really well. Elijah Moore is playing really well. Their tight end, David Njoku's playing really well. So this team, Jerome Ford, Joe Flacco has an easy job, man. Just take care of the ball. His defense is going to go get you a couple. And like I said, as long as you take care of the ball, the Browns should be able to take care of this one and move on to the next round. So we have moving on to the next game. Kath, I'm going to swing it to you first. We have the Dolphins at the Chiefs. Who are you taking to win?
Yeah, just mentioned not too long ago about how the Chiefs are the scariest team coming out of the AFC. And if I'm going to say that, then I'm obviously going to take the Chiefs to win this game. Been there, done that. They got Goat Mahomes there. Travis Kelce is past due a massive game, well beyond past due. And I just think the whole, I pretty much already said it before, the whole Taylor Swift narrative and just, having Donna Kelsey's probably going to be there, or she's probably going to be there, then catch a flight to not Philadelphia because we ain't got a home game, but catch a flight to Tampa to catch Jason's game. It's just laid out in the stars for the Chiefs to win this game. Would not be surprised if the Dolphins won it. I would not be surprised if they did, but I'm going to still stick with the Chiefs all day. Big game out of Mahomes, a very well coached game coming from Andy Reid, and I think that the Chiefs defense will get enough stops. Tyreek Hill will get his numbers per usual. I'm not sure what Jalen Waddle's status is when he comes back. And if he does, is he going to be 100%? I'm not really sure. Raheem Mostert as well. I mean, this is the time of the year where guys are really beat up, and they had a phenomenal season, especially Raheem Mostert leading the league in touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. And then obviously, Tyreek Hill, he's putting the team on his back. How long is this going to last? The Chiefs have been kind of on the, that just mid-tier all season long, but we know who they are. The Dolphins, we've seen what they're capable of. Putting up 70 points early on in the season against a terrible team like, who was it? The
Broncos.
The Broncos, yeah. Putting up 70 points. We saw time and time again of Tyreek Hill doing what he does. At one point was in contention for MVP, even though nobody outside of a quarterback wins it, but he was right there. But we've seen it all. And I think that the Miami Dolphins' great season ends in Arrowhead. So going with the Chiefs.
All right, Gary, I'm going to swing it to you next. We all know your fascination with Baby Goat. So I guess you're going to be able to beat Tyreek Hill in his first game back in Kansas City.
As we know, I had the Chiefs winning back-to-back Super Bowls. And, it's still alive with my preseason pick. And I wrote here, this is a worst-case scenario for Miami. They're going to the Colts. They're going to KC when they could have had a home game. They're going to a team that's already beat them, I believe, this year in a close one. But it was a game I remember watching that game that they could have had. Again, it was a case of the drops in that game with with KC, which has been the storyline of the year that, their guys aren't catching football. They get the most drops, and that's why, the baby goat's not looking like the baby goat all the time this year due to that. So this is a chance for them to finally get on the right page. It's hard to see. Always reminds me of what Mr. Shannon Sharp, we've been killing on his own thing, going crazy. Always mentioned, what do you see? What they've shown us is they ain't gonna catch the ball, and his offense ain't the same. So, me believing in them is really just believing in Patrick Mahomes' greatness and Andy Reid's greatness and what they have proven, and them just knowing that they need to get into the dance. And after you get into the dance, like many greats have proven time and time again, we go down the list from Tom Brady to Michael Jordan to LeBron to whoever you want to go to. If you can get them in the dance, they know the formula to win, and I'm assuming so. They're going to pull out all the stops they can versus Miami to, all the things that they've been working on, the offensive genius. I'm hoping it comes out shining this day for them. And, if they can control this game, I believe they can win this game, especially the one scenario that hasn't been in their corner, that is actually in their corner this year, which is actually in a good way, I guess, kind of good, because if there's a 2-minute drill with KC, I still believe that Patrick Mahomes to, get that job done. And there's a chance there's going to be a 2-minute drill in this one right here because of how good the defense is for the Chiefs. And they haven't had that in Patrick Mahomes' era really as good as they are right now. So I guess if you want to look at it as a KC fan, you should be looking at it in a positive way that I guess they have a great defense. They have Patrick Mahomes, still have Travis Kelce. Can you just get one more guy to show up on offense, and they got a guy in Pacheco in the backfield who can control that ball too. So all things leaning favorite. I feel like KC, and again, they are favorite by 3.5. So I think KC's going to give this one and give Miami a hard lesson. And it sucks for Tua because not Tua, it sucks for Hill, man, because Hill is just proven, even though they won the Super Bowl after, this is still showing that it would have been way easier if they would have had him. It would have been way more. I don't think no one's questioning this podcast. If they had Tyreek Hill in a Kansas City uniform this year, they're probably not on the number 1 seed having the bye still. But they still were they still were doing their thing. So him trying to get revenge to show him that he needs them. We all know they're a little bit petty by the situation in both ways, as they both should be, because he felt like he got left, like they didn't want him no more, so they want to pay him. So, and he was part of the dynasty. So a lot of emotions going into this one right here, like a lot of these games. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out the winner.
I will say real quick, Kevin, sorry, just to go back what Gary was saying about the weather. It's not only going to play a factor, it's going to play a major factor because here in the Midwest, Kansas City is about 5.5 hours away from me. We're right now having a massive snowstorm, and then the temperatures are going to continue to drop each day this week to about 7 degrees across the entire Midwest. So, yeah, it's crazy. So it ain't just the cold. We're getting that close to 0 degrees. So yeah, they're coming into the pits of hell.
Yeah,
so
and Kaz is in a tank top, and they were in a snowstorm.
I know. I thought she was in outside we got a little 65. I'm a little cold, Kaz. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a little 65 outside. I'm a little cold.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is.
This weekend too, so I know how that.
But, you know what we doing around here.
Yeah, y'all snowing too?
Yeah, this week it's supposed to start snowing on Thursday, so we'll see.
Jeez.
Toddy, you are the one person who has not spoken on this game. So who do you think will come out victorious in this Dolphins-Chiefs matchup?
Yeah, Tua doesn't really play really well in the cold. I can just go back to the last time I remember Tua really playing in the snow. We saw Mike McDaniel hitting a puff bar on the sideline or whatever it was. I don't know how he might be in a couple of those. It's gonna be pretty stressful this weekend, but no, I think we'll see an offensive masterclass scheming from Andy Reid and from Mike McDaniel. We'll see a lot of that kind of going on. That matchup will be probably the most underrated matchup of the weekend. But yeah, the health of Jalen Waddle is going to be very, important. I think getting Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert involved, if Mostert does play in this game, is going to be very pivotal. If they're able to keep, Mahomes off of the sidelines or off of the field, and kind of, be able to control the clock in some shape or fashion, that would be able to help. But all in all, I think the Chiefs end up winning this game. If they're able to force turnovers on Tua, it's going to be a wrap early. And it's going to be in Tua's head, like, damn, this is Tua's first playoff game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So, that's on the line as well. Chiefs have kind of been here. Chiefs usually, first round, get the kinks out a little bit early. But I do see Mahomes, pretty experienced, kind of already expecting to get to the AFC Championship game, as most Chiefs fans probably do kind of feel. Gary is a closeted Chiefs fan. But
I was about to say, just Yvonne betting a little, and I'll help real quick. I bet if they score the first drive, I'll start banging KC line because it's going to be pressured up if they hit the goal first drive and score.
Saying if Miami goes down and scores first?
No. If Chiefs go down and score first drive, it's about to be pressure packed.
Yeah, so I really don't see a scenario where Miami wins at all, just based off of what I've seen from Tua in the cold, playing in the snow, Tua in late game situations. It all kind of favors Kansas City. So if I were a gambling man, which I am, I would probably take KC. I would probably take KC to win, probably to cover too as well.
If it was a bet, I'd be drunk. Ain't that what they say?
Yeah.
That's what Sherman said. But I think I'm going to have to be like Toddy, and the rest of us. I think the Chiefs are just going to come out here and show that the Dolphins are just an overmatched team. We saw that the Dolphins' first winning records, they average 17 points, and they have 320 yards. Against teams under 500, and with the losing record, they average 40 points and 443 total yards. They are not going to play a team with a losing record, so I'm expecting the same team to kind of show up. Yes, everyone, all those Dolphins fans that can say, well, we beat the Cowboys. Yeah, it's the Cowboys. I'm not going to give that much of a hoorah. But that's the one team they did beat with the over 500 record. We saw they just crumbled against the rest, so it's going to be interesting to see. But the Chiefs have the experience, they have the quarterback, they have the coach. It's like Toddy mentioned, the Dolphins are going through a lot of injuries right now. If it's just Tyreek Hill out there, I think they're going to struggle. Raheem Mostert's going to have to get back going. Jalen Waddle's going to have to get going healthy. Jaevon and Howard's going to have to play because I know the Chiefs don't have the receivers, but someone's going to have to play alongside Jalen Ramsey. So the Chiefs are going to have to figure it out, or the Dolphins are going to have to figure out a way to compete. But I'm definitely taking the Chiefs in this game. And Gary, I'm going to swing it to you first. The last AFC game that we will preview is the Steelers at the Bills. Gary, who are you taking in this matchup and why?
Steelers are
real quick. I usually don't cuss, Von, really, but fuck the Vegas. Whoever fucking made this little $10.
Who is the starting
10 spread? It's 10 now, Von. It's 10. I don't care. All I know is my guy.
Damn, that is crazy.
I don't care.
Rudolph. It should be Rudolph. It should be Rudolph. It should be Rudolph.
Where he is just like
Rudolph is 3-0, baby. He been cooking. But yeah, I'm on Kenny, bro. He's never healthy and they never sitting him. What does that tell you? A, B equals C. Can we please get rid of him? Do not keep him. But they're gonna do it because we're the Steelers and we'll be loyal to the soil. Especially he's a pick guy. That's gonna make him feel more loyal because they be in the building.
Cover,
we gonna cover. I'm gonna tell you, go take the cover for sure. Second reason. We gonna sneak up on him, Kaz. I know you over there laying down laughing at us. You gotta believe in us, man. I'm gonna tell you why. Couple reasons. Even though I ain't gonna lie, Minka and TJ is not playing. I know that's even horrible. This is looking really bad because them two are not playing too. But one other reason, Mike Tomlin. I know he don't play, but he got a formula, and the formula is keep these games close. And we know one thing. Don't lie. There's one thing that we know is that Mr. I'm forgetting Josh Allen is gonna throw some turnovers. Bet that. You bound. I'm telling you all the bets you want to get right now. That's all the money y'all gonna make. Bet we gonna be beat 10. Bet he gonna throw a turnover. And I bet my defense might score off that turnover too. Because we gonna get like we always these type of games, we're gonna need some magic to happen. So defense gonna need a touchdown. So for magic to happen. I don't know. But I don't think so. I'm doing what Kev did to his team earlier. We actually on a hot streak though. Kevin and them are actually losing on the way in. They stinking away in, Kevin. JV defense. You motherfucking disrespecting me on JV defense all year since game one. Y'all
I'm just laughing. I'm betting on technicality. He over here standing on business.
So Minka Fitzpatrick and
-10 is disrespectful. Oh my god,
man! All I know is that Bill's gonna give us a chance. Josh Allen's gonna give us a chance, and if Mr. Rudolph can make it feel like Christmas still, we might shock the world. Right now, we might shock the world. I got the Steelers. I ain't giving you all the reasons for no reason now. If I can, I'm gonna give you all the reasons on purpose. Come on now, we got Steelers. We gonna win this one by a field goal.
You're gonna need 7 more of these,
by a field goal.
You're gonna need 6 more of these. 6 more of these.
They're gonna give us a 2-minute drill. We're not gonna make it to a touchdown. We're gonna kick it from 50 or 40. Heartbreaker. Man, we're gonna be looking at the Bills.
I'm gonna bring it to you next, Toddy. Is Mason Rudolph gonna be able to lead the Steelers to a win on the road?
So Gary, you're telling me TJ Watt's not playing, Minka Fitzpatrick is not playing, and Mason Rudolph is the starting quarterback.
Yeah, but we got
the wild card round. Going your plus 400 favorite, plus 400 dogs. I love my cousin to death. I love him to death.
I forgot about your cousin. We're going for Kaz too. I
love him to death.
Kaz, if you don't know, Vaughn's cousin plays on my Pittsburgh Steelers now, linebacker, doing work too.
Yeah, Michael Walker, number 38 on the Steelers. I hope he gets sacked.
I hope he's big.
I hope he catches the interception.
If you go to his house, I'm about to call you direct FaceTime. Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna be doing. I'm gonna FaceTime you.
I'm looking at it like, damn, Minka's hurt, and damn, TJ just got hurt. And I saw JJ was tweeting about him. He's like, best freaking defender in the league. He's changing the leagues, this and that. And
he led the league in sacks before he got injured. I don't know if people ended up beating him, but he led the league in sacks.
and you're saying that they're going to score a defensive touchdown and them two ain't even playing it? I'm like, okay, well, shit. I just don't see a world, a universe where the Steelers are. It's going to be George Pickens is throwing his helmet on the sideline, screaming at people, why aren't you throwing me the ball? It's going to be a lot of that.
Put that in there.
Yeah, man.
Rudolph show, baby.
Mason Rudolph is the starting quarterback in the playoff game for the Steelers. How crazy is that? Y'all remember when y'all had Duck Hodges?
I remember both of y'all did pick us to be in this position, though. Y'all both, Kevin and Vaughn, both picked my team to make the playoffs.
That preseason Kool-Aid, man.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
Good job, you did. You was correct. You're you're welcome.
And I'll be correct with this pick.
I just don't see how they cover this 10 points. Fuck winning the game. I don't even see how they cover 10 points.
We don't make it down and dirty, bro. We can handle the weather, that's for sure. We don't mind going to Buffalo.
It's not the weather. I don't see.
No, it's going to be.
Anything,
I'm pretty sure it's cold as hell up there, too. So it's going to be perfect.
35.5.
It's going to be a grinded out game.
No, it's 35.
With Najee in the back.
Take the under. It's not going to be that many points.
Take the under and take the cover.
I'll make this short, sweet, and simple. I'm taking the Bills. One of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. We mentioned the Steelers' injuries. I think they're in the same boat as Miami. If they're all healthy, this could be a different game. The Steelers have one of the best defenses in the NFL. I give them a lot of shit. Joey Porter's coming up as a young corner that could be a stud one day. They have the pieces. They're just, I told Gary in the group chat, they made it in here on a technicality. Someone else lost, and someone else lost again, and then the Steelers ended up in here. So I think the Bills are going to run over them, unfortunately. But, there's always next year, Gary. So
there's always next year.
Wish you best of luck.
Gary, you can say the same thing to him.
No, hold on.
I know, Kim. I'm about to write that down right now. There's always next year. Remember that.
I'll wake up Monday. At least I got a chance. Gary's going to wake up Monday.
There's always next year. I'm writing that down for you. Don't worry, brother. I got you.
All right, Seth, go ahead. Bring it on home for us. Who you taking? Bills, Steelers.
I just want to say, Gary, my boy, listen, I'm not trying to disrespect you, man. I just didn't know it was -10, bro. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I thought it was going to be like, 6.5, 10, bro.
Double digits us.
Man, listen, I believe that if you had Minka and TJ,
the line wouldn't even be 10 if those two were playing. Probably not.
Yeah. It would be a battle. You got the worst quarterback that's in the playoffs right now, under center for your team. You guys struggled all season long with offense. You had maybe 3 good offensive games.
Man, the last couple of weeks, though.
Man, maybe 3 actual legit good offensive games, and I might be being generous. It's gonna take about 17 points to beat you guys, and Buffalo's going to put up more than that. I'm simply going to take Buffalo to win this game comfortably, but I will be fair, okay? And I hope for your sake, for your sanity, I'll still pick you guys to cover the 10. All right, so maybe,
there you go. I'm saying 14-17. I'll put the score out there too.
Maybe a good, 16-23, something like that. But Bills all day. I'm sorry.
So there's 3-1 Bills. So we're gonna move on to the NFC wild card. So Kaz, I'm gonna swing it to you first. Packers at Cowboys. What are your thoughts going into this game?
Yeah, Packers get crushed. I've had terrible luck with the Dallas Cowboys this year. Being an Eagles fan, just like the Niners, not as bad as the Niners, because when they beat us, they lost their fucking mind. And you see Toddy every day, probably damn near on these podcasts. So you know what I'm talking about, but and Shaun included. But yeah, Cowboys fans, they've been dragging me through the mud all season long. Especially after they did what they did to us. And it just doesn't seem like I'm gonna get my wish quite yet. It will happen. We all know they're the accident waiting to happen, but I'm not gonna get my wish this soon. They're gonna handle business at home. They're gonna destroy the Packers. The Packers are the youngest team in the playoffs. I think they're the 5th or 6th youngest team in NFL history to make the playoffs. Something like that, somewhere around there. They're the youngest team in the league this year. Jordan Love is playing out of his mind. Actually, I'm not sure if you guys knew this. So He went 18 touchdowns and only 1 interception in the last 5 games. He's playing nuts right now. I don't know how much longer it's going to last. They're going to need Christian Watson back. I'm not sure what his status is. But Dallas is just probably the hardest. It's the hardest place to play in the NFL this year. They haven't lost. So, I mean, and when they win there, it ain't no joke. They dominate. In a close game, it's usually by 2+ scores. So Dallas continues to take advantage of teams that either are inexperienced or are not up to par to where they're at, and they should handle them comfortably. Whatever the spread is, they're gonna cover, or the Packers won't cover it. Dallas wins by 10+.
All right, Toddy, I'm gonna let you take it next. Packers at Cowboys.
Jordan Love legacy game. Do I smell that brewing? I was high on the Packers. I was high on the Packers early in the year. Kind of took a detour on them because I was losing money. I was putting way too much money and I wasn't seeing any return on investment. So had to put them up on the shelf. But then you got to realize Jordan Love is his first year. He's going to receive a lot of ups and downs. Got to let him bake in the. This goes back to my oven theory. Jordan Love ends up making the playoffs, which is crazy. So I was kind of half right on the Packers earlier in the year. I said they would win the division and make the playoffs, but they didn't win the division. So, but they did end up making the playoffs. So, hats off to Jordan Love and Mike LaFleur. I think the future is bright for the Packers. Now, this couldn't be an any worse matchup for them going to Dallas. As Kaz already mentioned, that Dallas, I think, is undefeated on the season at home. Totally different team when Dallas goes on the road versus them at home. They're just they look like one of the better teams in the league, and obviously they are, considering that they are the 2 seed. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. The spread is 7.5. I'm not too sure where I'm at right now. Later in the week, I might feel a different round. Who is going to cover? But I think Dallas wins. The Cowboys have had bad luck with the Packers the last 2 times that they played in the playoffs. That's kind of what Khalil is referring to. He is a firm believer. He's basically like Gary. Firm believer in his team, as he should be.
Kaz has put the bet in. Packers money line.
Packers money line 25. What is it? +2. They're like +280. So that's a good chunk of change you can make a little bit. But I don't see the Cowboy, or I don't see the Packers beating I don't see the Packers beating the Cowboys. I don't really see it. Kaz already mentioned Christian Watson's status. Khalil, if you could look that up and see if Christian Watson's going to play, that'd be great. But Jair Alexander, what is he going to be able to do? Can he shadow and take away a CeeDee Lamb? I'm not sure about that. But we kind of saw this just, earlier in the year. Nobody really thought that the Packers were going to be contenders. They weren't really going to be able to. Is Jordan Love even the guy? Is what people were kind of questioning. For them to kind of go on this run that they're going on and, to be in this position, it's speaking volumes. So I did see a stat about quarterbacks making their first playoff start. It's not pretty good against the spread. So I think it was like 17-34 was the line. So not a great line. But I think it'll be a close game. I don't know if they cover though. It might get out of hand towards the end of the game, but I think the Cowboys are going to win.
All right, Gary. We have 2 Cowboys. I'm going to swing it to you next. You have Cowboy family in your blood. Are you going to choose them to lose against the Packers, or are you going to have them get the W?
As my Cowboys fan, as soon as this topic comes and my brother walks in smiling like I basically got better pick them, and he's right. I'm going to pick the Cowboys, make it short and sweet real quick. I'm pick the Cowboys. I do think it's going to be a close game because I never seen a Cowboys killed in the playoffs. Who they kill in the playoffs? I don't remember. Never ever seen that happen. So there's going to be a close game. A return of Mike McCarthy again versus old team. Like you guys mentioned, they actually had, I think a couple years ago, Aaron Rodgers and them lost to this Dallas Cowboys team. So I guess you could say Mike McCarthy kind of got their number in terms of the coaching staff is going to get up against each other. And again, like Kaz mentioned, they haven't lost this year at home. They're really lethal at home. They've got a lot of home cooking in Dallas. So I feel like Khalil shouldn't be too mad because he mentioned earlier, get some playoff experience for Jordan Love. And everyone's picking against, your team, Khalil. So you all should be riding high as the underdogs here, not favored to lose this game, 7 down by a touchdown and a half. So if I am the Packers, I've been sneaking on. Jordan Love's been sneaking up on teams all year long. Been playing low-key good towards the end. There's a chance and there's a way they could win, and they can make it close. But at the end of the day, I do feel like the Cowboys will win this game and keeps their hopes alive just to lose very soon after.
All right. Well,
this music to Kaz's ear looks like.
Khalil, Jesse, Uncle Manny, sit down and get comfortable. Because I'm about to tell you why the Packers are going into Jerry's World and coming out with a fucking W. Jordan Love, last 5 games, 1,293 yards, 10 touchdowns, 73 completion rate, 1 interception. We talk about how good they are in December. We talk about A, B, C, and D. Jaire Alexander, like Khalil says, he's going to lock up the best receiver in the world in Jettis. He can cover CeeDee Lamb, and I believe so as well. If he has to go against Jettis twice a year, CeeDee Lamb is a piece of cake. You take CeeDee Lamb away from this offense, what is this offense?
So
Tony
CeeDee
Pollard,
200, then what?
Dak, is Dak going to be able to carry them? Dak steps out of bounds. Is Ferguson going to be able to carry if CeeDee can't get going? What are they going to do? They can't run the ball, and is he going to CD's going to get shut down so bad, we're going to see Turpin catching passes. Not just punts, catching passes. So I'm going to go in here. Jordan Love gets his first win on the road against the Dallas Cowboys, putting an end to their undefeated streak at home. This is the perfect way to go. Cowboys are coming in. They got the NFC East. They think it's all nice and sweet. They're about to come in here and get punched in the fucking mouth. If the O-line for Jordan Love can show up, this game it's going to be a shootout. And I believe the Cowboys are unfortunately going to lose a weekend early in the playoffs. So I'm going to go with the Packers. So we have 3-1 Cowboys. We're going to see how it plays out. So, Toddy, I'm going to swing this next one to you. Rams at Lions. Who do you think comes out victorious?
Shout out to my boy PJ. He's a Rams fan. We share the love of being degenerate gamblers together. So me and him were kind of going back and forth on this past weekend. Darnold versus Wentz, number 1 versus number 2 pick. Once upon a time, or I think they were both number 2, 3 overall picks, something like that. But anyway, I think the Rams win this game. One of the hottest teams in the NFL is the Rams. They've been playing tough opponents. Went down to the wire with the Ravens a couple of weeks ago. Kind of took a overtime punt to kind of put them away. And the Ravens handled the 49ers pretty easily on Christmas Day. Stafford, Pro Bowl quarterback. Somehow I don't know how he got over Jared Goff. And to Kevin, somehow has no idea how he got over Jalen Hurts. But that's neither here nor there. But I think Stafford goes in. There's a whole storyline of Stafford, Detroit, and everything. I feel like the injury to Sam Laporta is going to be huge. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, I don't think the Detroit Lions are going to be able to cover them. And, I just think it's all brand new to the Lions. Haven't really been in the playoffs in God knows how long. And I think it's like the 9th time in franchise history that they've won the division. So it's still pretty fresh in Detroit. They're just happy to be here, in my opinion. Happy to be here. Now, some Lions fans could clip this and be like, oh, we're just happy to be here. And they win on whatever Saturday or Sunday, whatever day of the day that they play. I just think McVay, the experience, the Super Bowl in his back pocket that he has, he's been there before. It's going to be another schematic masterclass, offensive-wise. And I think McVay is going to scheme up a W for these Rams. And I think the Rams are going to go on the road and win. Now, there's not really going to be that many road team victories. And I think this is going to be one of them. And the Rams are dogs in this game. They're plus 155. I'm looking right now. And I don't know what the spread is. I just saw the spread. What is it? The spread on this game is 3 points. So you can either take the Rams +3, or you can put your balls on the table and take a money line +155. That's probably something that's going to be on the hotline, which is not going to be at the end of this show. It'll be on Friday's show. But love the Rams this weekend.
All right, Kaz, I'm going to bring it to you next. Rams at Lions. Who's taking on the W?
Yeah, I was back and forth on this one until Toddy made a good point that I completely forgot about. Sam Laporta not being there is massive. That is now you have a great backfield, Jahmyr Gibbs and Dave Montgomery. We know what they do. We know what they're capable of. Jared Goff, this season, not a bad season, but some inconsistencies for sure. He's had a good chunk of pretty bad games if you've been watching Lions football. But yeah, I think that the Lions are going to need to play their best football at home to win this game. And shout out to CJ, GJ for coming back. And,
Kev's boy.
I like CJ. You know what I'm saying? We obviously miss him here in Philadelphia. And if Kevin disagrees, I don't know what he's thinking about right now, but I would love to have him back. But the Lions, they're going to need everything to beat this Rams team, and without Sam Laporta, that's massive. Reason being is we're not gonna forget about who Cooper Kupp is. Before this season started, I did a top 10 wide receivers in the league, and I picked Cooper Kupp to be top 5. I said he's number 5. And fast forward to now, I'm like, okay, they got Puka. Nobody knew Puka was going to do what Puka's doing. He was in contention for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think that Stroud gets it, but he was right there up until the last game. And Puka's no joke. They have 2 very, very good wide receivers. They have a true 1-2 punch. Simple as that. And then let's talk about Kyron Williams, whose line every week is like 89.5 rushing yards.
Oh, you can take that.
You know what I'm saying? That proof's in the pudding. This isn't a fluke. It's not the Rams are a bad team. They're just getting lucky. The Rams are a good team, and they're doing what I think somebody mentioned a team earlier. They're hot at the end of the season. They're hot right now. The Rams are hot right now. They really are. I think that I know Stafford is the better quarterback. He's playing his best football right now at 30 whatever years old he is, and I think the Rams are going to show up and honestly just punch them right in the mouth. I really do. I think the Rams handle this game comfortably. I think McVay, with his experience, he's been there, done that. He's the better coach. Shout out Dan Campbell for being a solid coach and being one of the candidates for Coach of the Year. But McVay shows up. He outclasses them. The Rams offense puts up at least 27 this game. I don't think that the Lions can fare with that. They have the firepower, but like I said, it's the playoffs. It's a different beast. No Sam Laporta. They're going to need to find out a way to shut down the 3-headed monster. I guess you can even say 4-headed monster. That is Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams, and then you can sprinkle a little bit of Matthew Stafford. Stafford goes home. He gets a big dub, and the Lions fans regret ever giving him up.
All right, Gary. I'm going to swing it to you next. Rams at Lions. Who's getting this W?
I think I mentioned earlier that I had the Rams being the most sneakiest team. So I got them obviously sneaking up on the Detroit Lions. The return of Matthew Stafford. He's going to break his old team heart who traded him to get in a better situation. Didn't want to be part of this rebuild and ended up winning a championship, proving that, his stats, even though people maybe call him Pat Statter maybe in Detroit, proving that he is a winner, and he's going to come back and break their hearts and spoil the parade that they've won the division finally. And I just feel like what Kaz has mentioned so far is on the money with all the offensive weapons the Rams have. Obviously, they're a 3.5 point favorite, which, at home you get 3 points. They're really half a point favorite. So it's neck and neck. It's going to be a close one as it come down to clutch times calls. And just like a few weeks ago, when I put in the chat, when I think Detroit lost, I think the Ravens, somebody, that was early in the day, lost somebody that's a really good team as well. And I just remember putting Jared Goff, just thinking Jared Goff did Jared Goff things. And not to say that he hasn't had a solid time in, helping resurrect Detroit Lions football, but he's still Jared Goff. He still got traded because he still has some inefficiencies that Matthew Stafford is just simply better than him. And unless their defense shows up and shows out, I would say that if it's just going to rely on this offense to go toe-to-toe, I'm going to take a Sean McVay in their offense to go beat Dan Campbell and Jared Goff. And yeah, in Detroit. It's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be in Detroit. And it's gonna be the first playoff game, a home playoff game they've had in probably years. So it's probably like how we lit the beam in Sacramento the first time ever 20 years, and then finally going to the playoffs too. So it's gonna be something like that atmosphere. So it's gonna be very overwhelming. But hey, who else better to play in a situation that recently former Super Bowl champions in the Rams, and a guy who's played there a million times. So like it's like a perfect combination in terms of what the Rams would probably want and what the Detroit probably didn't want to see.
And I'm gonna join on. You guys stole everything that I had in my notes. I think the Rams are going to come here W. I don't think it's an upset, with Sam Laporta being out, this Detroit defense kind of being spotty. The Rams have too much going on, and it's crazy to think that the Rams rebuilt their team with 3rd and 5th round picks. You know what I'm saying? So the corners aren't going to be able to take care of Puka and Cooper Kupp. You got Tyler Higbee, you got Kyron Williams. This offense is playing really well, as well as this defense. Aaron Donald's going to make a play in this game, and I just don't think the Lions have enough. So moving on to the game everybody wanted to talk about. Gary, I'm going to swing it to you first. The Eagles take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who do you have winning this game?
This is a hard one to pick, my guys. I don't know, because literally, as Kev can attest, I've, wanted the Eagles to win, Kaz. I've wanted to keep riding their bandwagon just because I don't like the Niners and I don't like the Cowboys. And the only team that I feel like, okay, I'm going to hop on their bandwagon. You got the whole Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania thing going on with that in Philadelphia. But I still want to believe in week after week. I'm going to pick them. Killing me, Kev. Picking them every fucking week. And I kept losing and losing. Thank God I had built up the lead in our pick 'em that we have won, which I'm going to have to boast about now real quick. It's 176 and 66 on the season. 64% on the year. Killed it. We'll have to really put some money on the stuff next year. You know what I'm saying? But, and shout out to Shaun. We're going to talk more shit when Shaun comes back, actually, because I know he was trying to make my shit feel like the Lakers in-season tournament championship, talking about, it was the in-season. That's all I was trying to I was like, oh, hell no. That's all I was trying to fuck with. And you're trying to make my shit feel small. I'm like, no, we're going to take this championship ring and put it on us, this finger right here. But going back to what this game is, I put right here, man. I'm not going to lie to you. Eagles. I'm riding, I guess, until the wheels fall off. And that's what I'm doing. I'm riding with the Eagles until the wheels fall off. Even though I really want to say Von and famous quote, Baker Mayfield, because that's what they're playing right now. This is a team that is. I know Kevin said he should be happy after this past weekend, but they're gonna be in Tampa. This team I know was a team that won with Brady, but it's a team that has some Super Bowl and playoff guys on here too. Still, they got the coaching staff that's still kind of under the same helm. I know that they gave the reins over to the new head coach now, who was previously there as well. So, and Baker Mayfield has, proven that when you count him out, he tends to show up. Guys, I would not be too happy. I know I can't mention he's kind of happy he's playing the Bucks, but they're a team that, everyone's still picking you guys, and you guys are clearly still favorite by a 3-point half in their house, so they don't feel disrespected. So a lot of things should be, they should be feeling real comfortable in this game. A lot of teams you guys have obviously known are not scared of you guys how they were last year when you guys were coming into building and thumping people out. The whole scariness factor of the Eagles has flown out the window. So if you guys want, I'm just riding with them. I ain't got nothing. You guys, that's gonna be you guys telling me how you pump me up to feel how you guys should win this game. But I'm riding with the Eagles just because I feel like I've been picking them all year. I'm gonna just die with them. And but I would not be shocked though if the Bucks put the nail in the coffin in the end of the year. How we've been seeing the writing on the wall the whole second half. How you guys just couldn't step up to the plate. And if they put the nail in the coffin, it would make totally sense because Baker Mayfield is the type of guy to do that to a team that he did to my team in the playoffs versus Steelers to get the Browns their first win in like 50 years against us and Big Ben's last few years. So I remember how painful that was. So I could see Baker Mayfield making some Eagles fans right here in front of me tear up at the end of the night on Monday night. And there'll be a podcast that night too, guys. So make sure y'all tune in. So, yeah, I got the Eagles, but I'm gonna need the confidence from you guys because I can see Mike Evans and them coming in there and doing their Dougie.
All right, Toddy, I'm gonna bring it to you next. Eagles at Bucks. Who wins this game and why?
This game is a fucking gambler's nightmare. Can't pick
I can't
side.
pick this one.
I can't side with the Eagles just based off of what they've been looking like these past. What you guys lost it the last like how
4 out of 5?
5 out of 6.
Oof.
Like that is brutal.
On by
And
3.
Tampa, you want me to bet on Baker Mayfield in the playoffs? A home playoff game for Tampa. Now this game already happened. We saw this game happen earlier in the year. It was crazy on Monday Night Football. It's crazy that it is. It's going to be on Monday Night Football again. I have no idea who's in charge at ESPN on why the fuck this game would be on Monday Night Football and why it should be the Monday night standalone game. But moving on, I really, if I were to bet, I wouldn't even touch this game, to be honest. If you were to do anything, I'd probably take the under. Tie. Let it go to double. You can't have a tie in the playoffs. It's if I had to close my eyes and dream about a game, who's going to win this game, it would probably be the Eagles. But I'm not confident in that pick at all. I'm going to leave it to the Eagles fans on why I should be confident on why the Eagles are going to win. So I'll leave it to those guys. But for right now,
you picked the Bucks.
You said that one more time, Gary?
You picked the Bucks then? You going with the Bucks?
I can't pick.
No, he's not going with the Bucks. Toddy's all pom-poms.
I thought he was going with the Buccaneers still.
I cannot pick the Eagles, but I'm going to close my eyes and pray.
So, yeah, we're both me and Bond both go like this. All right.
Yeah, it's literally that. I'm going to spin around 3 times and close my eyes and whoever I land on.
Do not bet on this game.
Or to go on Kaz. We could flip the coin right now. As Kaz is doing on TikTok. Pick up he's got the coin, everybody. Flip that coin and that's who's going to win on Monday night. So I'll leave it to the Eagles fans and convince me why I'm not wrong. Sell me. This is your Shark Tank moment.
Bond, right. Just sell you to place a bet.
The floor is yours, Kaz. Eagles at Bucks.
Simply put, it's not simple. I'm lying. So Jalen Hurts, does anybody know his first playoff loss, who it came to? It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2021. His first year starting an entire season after we gave Carson Wentz the boot, rightfully so. I was at that game. It was super windy. You couldn't tell on why watching televised. It was windy. Look at the stats. Brady didn't play well. Jalen Hurts didn't play well. We got outclassed. You pretty much a rookie playing against a solid defense, a defending Super Bowl champion, whatever. Jalen Hurts makes his return for redemption. It's that simple. I am far from out on Jalen Hurts. He is a competitor. He is a winner. He is someone who is he's not going to go out like no bitch. That's all I'm going to say. So if we do end up losing this game, just know Hurts going to have a game. But the fact of the matter is we're not losing this game. I don't know how far we're going to make in the playoffs. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be very unbiased with this take. I'm not sure how far we're going to make it in the playoffs. But I will say this. We're going to go into Buffalo. We're going to go into Tampa Bay. We're going to handle business. We're going to get Smitty back. AJ Brown, he's fine. Our defense is going to get to Baker Mayfield. Mike Evans will probably, I think I tweeted today or yesterday, he's going to have 2 touchdowns and probably 100+ yards. It's fine. That's going to be about it. They're not going to do anything on the ground. Baker Mayfield will get sacked at least 3 times this game, and we're gonna outclass them. We're gonna out-strength them. We're gonna outperform them, and it is what it is. They're gonna have one player, like I said, that's gonna do well, and that's gonna be it. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. I'm not saying Philadelphia's gonna win 34-14.
Second field goal.
I think that it's gonna be a 10-point win, and I think that a last-second field goal will make it 10 points. Yes, I think that a last-second field goal will make it 10 points by Jake Elliott. I think we win somewhere around 24-14, 28, 28-18, something like that. We have it's for everything, man. I mean, as a team, as Eagles fans, they know we're not happy. We got fans standing outside of NovaCare Center with signs where the players walk into practice, literally expressing how pissed off we are. It's not just the Eagles playing, it's the city of Philadelphia, it's the entire Eagles nation that's playing this game. We're not losing to the Bucs. It's that simple. We absolutely 100% positively cannot lose to the Buccaneers. I don't care if this game was being played in space. The Buccaneers will lose to the Buccaneers are going to lose to the Eagles. They're the worst team in the playoffs right now. Shout out to them for having a phenomenal season. No, I really do believe so. I mean, I think
I thought you were gonna say that.
It's y'all right there. Y'all right there. But the NFC South, the NFC South is trash. Okay, they're trash. The AFC North is not trash. Your entire division finished above 500, first time in like 100 years, damn near. Okay, that's crazy. So even though you guys have struggled, it doesn't matter. You guys have done what you needed to do in one of the hardest divisions in football, the hardest division of football this year. I mean, record wise. So Philadelphia shows up. They put the team on their back. They put the fans on their back, and Jalen Hurts leads the way. The defense will get a few key stops, and that'll solidify it. Philadelphia on top.
Hey, if y'all lose, Sirianni getting fired. I'm gonna just say
so.
that.
Gary,
if we lose, I'm not gonna be ever coming back on this show. I'm scared.
So Gary said, "No one's scared of us. You don't have to be scared to get your ass beat. I know plenty of people who went into fights thinking they were gonna win and got their ass beat. You ain't gotta be scared. But let me tell you this: like I told you guys, with the scariest team, Toddy wanted me to sell him. Let me sell you on something." You know, big play Slate's coming back, right? Our two rookies are playing very, very well. And you know what's going to happen on Monday? You're going to see number 24 sit his ass on the bench. There will not be a James Bradbury signing. Kelly Ringo and
Brad. I think like Bradbury. Remember
Eli Ricks.
Those are going to be.
Remember Brian? We heard a lot about Bradbury before. I'm not going to lie.
Went down. This is everyone's talking about the Eagles can't do this, the Eagles can't do that. We're going to put our hands in the dirt and we're going to go after Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is going to be in shambles. You're telling me we're going to lose to a team that just beat the Panthers by 9 points?
Y'all just lost to the damn Giants.
Y'all didn't bring no pressure all year. Where's the pressure coming from?
Okay, Toddy, you want to say that? Everybody raise your hand if you think the Panthers are better than the Giants. I'll wait. Go ahead, Toddy. Go ahead. Raise your hand.
No, Panthers suck ass.
Stay on business. Like I said, we're going to go in there and we're going to get it done. Jalen Hurts went in there his first year and took an L. So he's going to remember that. A.J. Brown, we get Devontae Smith back. Cam Jurgens is going to be healthy. There's no more excuses. We've seen everything we can do. We are 0-0. All we have to do is get to Monday. And Gary mentioned there will be a podcast Monday night after the game. It will be titled Gary's Funeral. We'll see you next year. And we're going to end episode.
Hassan Riddick better not be dropping back into coverage. That's all I got to say.
Oh, boy, Kev. Don't let them lose.
Whatever you got to do. But I'm standing on business, goddammit, and the Eagles are going to win. So that concludes episode 73. Make sure you're here next Monday because it is going to be interesting. Toddy's team does not play, unfortunately, because I guess the real football doesn't start the week 2 in the playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to sit back and see how Kevin and Gary take their W's or L's. So it's going to be interesting. But like I said, please give us a follow on Instagram, TikTok, X, formerly known as Twitter, wherever you guys find us. Please give a shout out and thanks to KazzyBear TV. He's been riding with us on this journey, and we appreciate him more than anything. And I know you guys think I only bring on Eagles fans, but those are the only kind of people who want to talk. So we'll see you guys on Monday.
Yeah, reaches out to you. Yeah.
Any closing thoughts you guys have on the floor, but like I say, I did every show. Go Bucks. You guys.
Peace.
Friday for the basketball pod and Monday for the NFL pod. So you guys have a great rest of the night. We appreciate you more than you know. Great.
Take the spread for the Steelers.